Hello?
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 Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering if Terry Phoenix were...
I am Terry Phoenix.
Oh, Jason Rainier. Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you as well. Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah?
Well,
I'm doing well.
I mean, so far today I'm pretty good, but could I talk to you for a
Yeah,
minute
sure. Come
about
on in.
something?
You can shut that if you want.
Thank you. A number of your colleagues said I should get in touch with you.
Okay.
Dean Blackburn.
Yeah, I know
for
Dean.
one.
Yeah, that's my bud.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
He's a nice...
He's definitely a good guy.
Yeah. So, well, first off, I'm a freshman. I'm a first year.
Uh-huh.
And I'm from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And, well, I guess before I came down here to start school this year, you know, a lot of people said, well, you're going to the South as someone who's in the LGBT community,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you don't know how you're going to be treated,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I said, well, it's North Carolina. And I mean, it's Chapel Hill, and
Right.
it's
Right.
a college town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I've made a number of friends though, and everything around the whole Amendment 1 issue is when things just blew up.
Yeah.
And debates got more heated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there weren't even really too many debates before, and then debates all of a sudden that I would care at all about just came out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
you know, the whole idea that the government could tell me as a bisexual man, if I am in a relationship with my boyfriend, that we are not a couple.
Right. Right.
It is offensive to me, and I actually have a copy of Policies and Procedures here for the university.
Mm-hmm.
Consistent with this principle and applicable laws, it is therefore the university's policy not to discriminate in offering access to its educational programs and activities or with respect to employment, terms, and conditions on the basis of race, color, gender, national origin, age, religion, creed, genetic information, disability, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I see Amendment 1 as just being completely antithetical to our policies
Mm-hmm.
and procedures.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And not all my friends, because I've met some great people here. I've met some great people who have been allies of mine, who said that they agree with me, that basically they are against oppression and bigotry and what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I've met a number of people. Here's an example. I changed my profile picture on Facebook to a nice sign that said, defeat the amendment,
Mm-hmm.
or vote against Amendment 1.
Mm-hmm.
Gold letters, Carolina blue in the background.
Yeah.
Very nice sign.
Yeah.
And then like maybe 8 of my so-called friends that I made immediately changed their profile pictures like within the next couple hours to vote for the amendment.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's things like that get hurtful.
Yeah.
And like Dean Blackburn was telling me, he's like, some smart ALEC attorney could say something like, well, just turn off Facebook or just deactivate your Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, as a young person, come on, that's 80,
Mm-hmm.
you know, social networking is 80% of my life.
Right. Right.
And I really cannot stand this debate. I feel like it's almost like a struggle for just me wanting to be who I am, a struggle for self-preservation almost, what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like my rights are being pried from my hands.
Which is accurate.
Right.
I mean, that's accurate. The reason that you feel that way is because that's what's happening.
It's
You know,
insane.
I mean, and it is. It's absolutely, you know, and the center has been hamstrung because of a state law that prohibits us from being visible or vocal and, you know, opposing the amendment. But we have been working behind the scenes to educate people and to educate our administration and to work to encourage them to figure out, you know, because the polls are still looking like it's going to pass. It passed narrowly, at least by what we can tell, but it's going to, you know, it's really close unless we can really pull out a lot of education.
Well, you never know what would happen on Election Day. That's just it. You don't know what turnout's going to be. I mean, I heard even Dan Savage say, look, it's going to pass. But I'm not going to make that concession
Right.
now.
I'm not either.
I'm not ready
I'm not
to.
either.
And I think it would be silly for us to make that concession at this point. I mean,
I think
like
we
I said,
need
I
to
don't know what
do
turnout's going to be.
every single thing that we can do, and that is,
Yes.
I mean, like changing your Facebook page, your picture on your profile is like absolutely a powerful thing to do.
Right.
And I've talked with a number of folks about this. No surprise, right? Because you're not the only one that has just been sort of surprised about how can you hold that view? Like, how can you say that you're a friend of mine?
Right.
And hold that view? I don't understand. And so what, to the extent that you're comfortable, I know what I have encouraged folks to do, other folks to do, is that if those are people that you feel comfortable engaging in that conversation, I think it's entirely fair to ask, do you really understand what this amendment is about?
Mm-hmm.
What we know from polling data is that a majority of people who say, I'm for the amendment, don't really have a full understanding about what it is.
Right.
And that when they understand that this is going to impact heterosexual and same-sex couples, it's going to affect people with disabilities, it's going to affect senior citizens, it's going to affect domestic violence protections, it's going to affect children.
Healthcare benefits for children.
Right? When they understand that, then they start to take another look at it. And in some cases, in many cases, about 14% of the time, people change their mind.
Right.
And so having those conversations is one way, putting information like on your Facebook page about this is what this amendment will do. There's a really great, let me print something out for you. I think it's really important to have language to engage in those conversations with people. And I mean, that's what I do as an educator and an activist. And so what I've been trying to do is put those materials in the hands of other people as well.
Yeah, Dean Blackburn said you're consistent with a more activist tradition, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's great.
Oh, yeah. I'm an old ACTA Queer Nation person.
Awesome. I was trying to tell someone that, here's the issue. If this passes, you understand. I mean, you have a nice girlfriend, the government says you're no longer a couple. You're no longer recognized as a couple. Let's say you're living together, you don't want to get married, but let's say you have children, which happens, you've got like 90,000 couples in the state of North Carolina who are heterosexual couples who have children.
Right.
So now they can't get, let's say, mom or dad's health insurance plan that they're getting through work.
Unless they're the biological child, right? I mean, like, that's they could get it from their mom, right?
Okay.
But they couldn't get it, let's say, the mom is who bore the child, and mom is staying home, and dad is out working, supporting the family.
Which is very common.
Very
common, yes.
Where you have one parent staying at home, one parent working. Dad's not going to be able to provide health insurance for mom or for the child.
Right. So what will happen is, this one woman said, well, I've never seen a child be refused any health care, because if they go seek out the program, they'll find it. And I said, okay, so you want more children and more women and more people on welfare rolls?
But they won't qualify.
Well, they...
Because what they do in North Carolina, they look at your household income. They don't look at whether you're married or not when they make those determinations. They look at how much income do you have coming into your household, and how many people do you have in that household. And so let's say someone's making $35,000 a year, and let's say the dad's out making $35,000 a year. They're going to look at that household income and say, you don't qualify.
Right.
You make your household brings in too much money. So that's how people end up not able to get health insurance through Medicaid, because they're making too much money. And so then you've got a situation where you've got a mom and a child trying to purchase health insurance on the open market, which is really expensive.
Right.
If either the mom or the child has any kind of health condition at all, then that cost is going to
skyrocket.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just,
pre-existing
like, my
condition.
family is in that situation. Like, I'm the one working and supporting our family.
Okay.
And, you know, and my daughter, you know, that's an older picture of her, but I got to get the new pictures up. But she is 2 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, under North Carolina law, no legal relationship to her. And so I can't add her to my health insurance.
Right.
I
Right.
can't take time off to
Right.
provide care for her if I need to, because the state sees no connection
It's
between
because
me and
these
her.
people have to get involved and tell us we don't have a family.
Right.
Or almost like there's no place for us.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I'm being raped almost. And I feel like we have to do everything we can to defeat this.
Yeah.
I mean, and I actually, here's my main question for you.
Yeah.
I was registered to vote in Ohio. I still am, and I registered to vote here because there's a voter drive, and I thought it was my civic duty to register to vote. It's the right thing to do and all that. And I voted absentee ballot in the Ohio primary, and I actually voted here as well, early voted.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And hopefully no one will figure that out.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to get in trouble, am I?
No, I don't think
I
you
think
are.
that
I
would be
think
ridiculous.
that let me pull up the Ohio voter laws, because I think that what you could say if you were asked about it.
Well, what it comes back to me is it's almost like what's fair, and you're taking away my basic human rights from me, and I voted voted multiple times. You tell me what's worse. I mean, it's like when Dan Savage is on TV and he's debating someone, and I've seen this one guy who was debating said, "You're being rude to me," and he said, "I'm being rude to you, and you're taking my rights away. You tell me what's worse."
Right.
You know, it's a balancing act. And
Give me 1 second. Hey, Ashley. Hey. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, Ashley, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have like a lot going on. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling, and certainly, like, take care of your family. That's the most important thing. Okay. I think what I might do then is get the documents printed, and I'll leave them. You know where the information thing is downstairs? In our building, yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? We'll be on campus tomorrow because it's Lavender graduation. So we'll get here at, I think, 1 o'clock is what we're planning on. And so we'll be in the building, probably down on the other end from where the information station is. But you can just call my cell and tell me you're here, and I'll come let you in. So, and I'll just have them, and then you can pick them up then. Does that sound good? Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Take care. Bye. I was trying to see.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious what I did was illegal, but what are the chances? I mean, speeding is illegal too.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get. I don't think they're gonna know. But what I was looking at is there a way for you to call and say disregard my absentee ballot? You know, I sent it in and I realized that I couldn't vote in 2 places. You know, or I sent it in and I'm wanting to change my registration. Blah blah blah. Like that's what I'm looking to see, because then you're kind of taking care of it up front. right? And so then it becomes real clear that you're not trying to intentionally do voter fraud.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, do we want to do that even?
Well, that's why, give me just 1 second and let me look and see what they say.
Because, I mean, I've got a number of friends who actually did the same thing, and I can tell you right now they don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, what I want to know is, what are the chances that I would get in trouble for this?
I need to have a minute to look at it to be able to answer that question.
Okay. I think they're probably just going to tell you the law. I mean, I think that's all you
Well,
can
that's what
do.
I'm looking for, is what the law is.
Okay.
Okay. So, voter registration. You know what? It actually, it says that the penalty, or the what they say is illegal, is if you absentee vote and you show up at the voting poll.
Oh, okay.
Which is not what you did.
So I didn't even do anything illegal, really.
I mean, at least from what I've read so far. Yeah, I mean, it says, you know, what is illegal is to vote or attempt to vote more than once at the same election by any means, which, you know, then they listed, and it says attempting to vote both by absentee voter ballot and regular ballot at the polls at the same election.
Okay.
And you didn't do that. You know, so let me see.
Well,
let me finish reading this and just see if they do.
That's good.
address that at all. I mean, you are not. I know that you're not supposed to do that. I mean, that's not a.
Well, you're not going to tell anyone, will you? Or?
Oh, hell no! Are you kidding me?
Okay, thank you. It's just this debate has blown up on the national scene, and it's huge.
Yeah, but they're not.
So I mean, I got to voice
Yeah.
On the national scene, I got to voice my opinion.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm just fed up with it, and I don't think Romney's any better than Santorum at the end of the day. I mean, I don't trust Romney any more than I trust Santorum. He's no better. Are you familiar with the radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh by chance? Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Well, in 2000, do you remember in 2008 he did his, he had we called it Operation Chaos, where he told all of his lackeys and Republican listeners to go vote for Hillary Clinton to try to create division in the Democratic Party and whatnot. And it didn't really, he never really got the effect that he wanted. I mean, he lost at the end of the day, but I've got about 30 friends who, we all decided and committed to, once it looked like Romney was going to get the Republican nomination, we all decided to vote for Gingrich in our home state and then vote for Gingrich here in our other home state of North Carolina. We just felt like, we're not going to let whatever happens and let something bad happen and then wonder why it happened, and it was because we never did anything.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything, and here's what I would suggest. If somebody contacts you, then when did you send in your early voting or
For
your
Ohio.
absentee ballot?
It's a couple months ago. I want to say it was about 2 months ago.
Okay, and when did you register here and vote here? When did you register here?
I did that like a week ago.
Okay, so here's what I would say. I would say that, you absentee voted, and that you just, you weren't aware of the prohibition, that you thought you were changing your voter registration because you were told that you could register to vote if you'd been a resident here for 30 days, which is true, right? And then you just say mea culpa, my bad, my apologies, and if they give you a choice about, which ballot to count, then you can tell them that.
Okay.
And so just look really pitiful.
I
and
definitely
look really
don't. I don't want to tell them about my little Operation Chaos.
No.
Okay.
Because I don't think. I mean, I don't think you gain anything, and you stand to lose. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
So just tell them, look, I misunderstood the law. I thought that I had been a resident here for more than 30 days. So I registered to vote here, and I did my civic duty here.
Absolutely.
And I should probably be okay. That's the way to, if anybody
says anything comes up. And honestly, I will tell you that for primaries, unless there's something really huge happening, they're going to scrutinize all the voter registrations for Orange County to make sure that they're legit, right? If it comes to a recount and it's really close, that's what they would do. But they won't go to all the other states in the, in the Republic and say, hey, did any of these people vote in your states? They're not going to do that. And is there anything really big and exciting in the Ohio ballot right now?
Well, I'm trying to remember. There's a recall effort for John Kasich. Then...
Okay.
No, really.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's doubtful. Because usually what the voter fraud that they catch is the place where people are trying to register voters. They catch the people that are in charge of registering voters that are doing things that are not on the up and up. So I wouldn't worry about it.
So I'm probably all right?
I wouldn't. I can't say that you're probably all right because I I can't say that.
But even if
but
they
what I would say
find
is
some,
that I think it's a very low probability that anybody's going to come knocking on your door, and if they do, I think just you say exactly what you said to me. I registered here because I thought it was important. I met the criteria. I didn't understand that there was anything wrong with that.
okay.
Don't tell them about the Operation Chaos thing.
Don't tell them about that.
No.
Okay.
Just plead ignorance. And while ignorance of the law is no excuse, it is often the case that, what they might do is say, well, who told you could register? And then you can say, I don't know, I registered in the pit, like it was just a sign-up day,
Right.
and,
There's a registration drive, they
yeah.
told me to do it,
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, so I wouldn't worry about that. I would not worry about that at all.
I'm going to have to tell that to all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you say.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't tell them I said it.
Oh, I won't tell them you said it. No.
Because I would be the kind of person that they would come after.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I won't. I
So-
mean, that's the thing, though. I just want to make sure we were okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Dean-
I can't guarantee you that you aren't, but I don't.
Okay. But, I mean,
I don't
even
think that you have
even
anything
if,
to worry
and it's a
about.
big if, chances are they probably won't,
Right.
then, okay.
Yeah. Tell me I'm going to email you I'm going to go get it and show you what I've printed out for you, but tell me your email so I can email you the document.
Can we just use my Gmail?
Okay, what is that?
Jason, Jason, dot
Oh, you
Rainier.
know what? I should send it from my Gmail account, too.
And if you have any other ideas, or you find other things concerning this, that would be great. You can send that to me, or...
Well, and what I will do is I'll send you a bunch of the educational information and stuff that we've been doing. I see that you have the button vote against, so do you know about the opportunities for phone banking and all of that kind of stuff? And you've been doing that? Okay.
Coalition to Protect All North
Yeah,
Carolina
that's
Families.
right.
Yep. Great
Because
organization.
That is, we still need people working the phones, and
Absolutely.
we need people staffing
Canvassing.
the polls. And if they don't need anybody here in Orange County, I'm still trying to get some shifts covered in Durham.
Okay.
So if they can't use you here in Orange County, let me know, and I'll plug you in to some stuff in Durham. If you have
Sure.
a car, do you have a car?
Well, I use a friend's car.
Okay.
Actually.
So yeah.
But I mean, I can usually get a ride or borrow his car.
Okay. So Jason, tell me your email, your Gmail account.
Jason, Jason, dot Rainier,
Rainer.
IER,
IER.
at gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you have something you want me to do around here, or
Well,
what
I will tell you, we have on. I mean, I would contact well, there's a couple things. I'm about to walk down to Ram's Head and encourage people to go vote. I can't say vote against, but you can as a student. And there's going to be people down there, so we have signs, and so if you want to, right now, that's something that you could do. I would also say, contact the coalition folks and say, I want to do some phone banking or canvassing, or I'm happy to sit the polls.
I've contacted them.
Okay.
I've done some work there.
Okay.
Do you know Quentin?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's a good guy, yeah.
So, and again, if they can't use you, then I would contact the Durham People's Alliance, which is on their contact information.
Durham People's Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that's that's where I've been doing a lot of work, and I know that we're still looking for some folks to cover some polling places. So I'm going to send you. And I'm sending you a report by UNC School of Law professors.
Okay.
And it's referenced, like I pulled out summary information and put it in where it says voter info and facts about proposed North Carolina constitutional amendment. Like that document, I pulled out sections of that overall like law professor document, but the law professor document goes really into detail about why we believe that some of the things that we think will happen are going to happen.
Okay.
And so that would be a good one to know about. And I also have included in here a flyer because on May 9th, regardless of the outcome, we're doing a gathering on the steps of South Building to either celebrate the fact that we defeated the amendment.
Or protest what happened.
Or protest its passage.
Okay.
And so May 9th at noon, if you're around here,
That sounds good.
that would be a place
I
I'd
could
be.
do
And
that.
I'm sending you the flyer, so if you can help us get that information
Oh,
out to people,
absolutely.
that would be fantastic.
I see you don't have a button on. Would you like one? I have.
I can't wear one while I'm at work because there
Okay.
is a state law that prohibits state employees from gathering support for or opposition to anything that's on a ballot. So if I
course.
wear that, I'm in violation of state law and have to lose my job.
Understandable.
So I've had to kind of walk that narrow path of providing information and doing the work that I can do.
Well, you have to be a little more
Not-
subversive
Not doing
about
it, that's right. And I'm really good at that. And that's why I'm sending you this from my Gmail account.
Dean Blackburn actually said that about you. He said she's an activist. She understands and appreciates the subversive type of stuff that you do. Because he seemed to, he said that I guess you and I are two threads cut from the same cloth, so to
Cool.
speak. I guess.
Cool. And the gathering on May 9th, we're calling it a gathering of support. And so
Okay.
it'll look very like, we're gathering standing as Tar Heels, regardless of the outcome, right?
Mhm.
Because we can't put anything on there about celebrate or speak out, because right now we're still restrained because there's a vote to take place. Once the voting is done, then that state law no longer applies because we're not trying to gain support for or opposition to something that people are going to vote on.
I
See what I mean?
So you're
So-
keeping it vague until voting to cover ourselves, and then once it's done,
You got
then we can say, "Oh, we're protesting it."
Right.
Okay.
right.
That's
Or
very
celebrate,
very smart.
Whichever the case may
Okay. Hopefully celebrating.
be. Man, me and you both. So, so that is on its way to you now. And let me print it. Let me grab the printout so I can just kind of give you some talking points.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Did not get this on So I will get the panel last night at Barbara High.
Yeah.
Also has like 200.
Oh, you went?
Yep.
Cool.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. 11th hour. Yeah.
like I can't help it. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Also, we had a student stop by yesterday who I made an appointment to meet for 2:30 and then the student called a meeting, meeting at 2. So I didn't know if you would be able to meet with her or if I just needed to call and reschedule.
So we're planning on just going to
I'll
that.
call and reschedule with her.
That's okay.
All right. Okay, so Jason, here's some short, sweet talking points, so that if you want to engage with people on Facebook, and feel free. Like I said, I sent you this document so you could post it if you wanted to. But as you know, it's going to affect all unmarried couples, right? Because it says that one marriage between one man and one woman is the only domestic legal union that shall be valid or recognized in the state, right? So that means you can't recognize anything. Many adults and their children will lose health insurance, right? And again, it's not the adult, if the adult is not the legal or biological parent of the child, they won't be able to provide them health insurance. And remember what I said about that when they look about Medicare and many of the government programs, both state and federal, they count your household income. They would count your total household income to determine if you qualify or not just your own individual income, right? So in that case, if one person is working and the other partner is at home, particularly if it's the biological parent that is staying home, that partner won't be able to add either of them.
Right.
But their income they'll be making too much money to qualify as a household.
They're just SOL at that point.
So domestic violence, in Ohio, there were, and this document down here summarizes a lot of this information, but in Ohio, once they passed their amendment, they rescinded or reversed the domestic violence convictions that had taken place, like on 30 plus individuals who had been convicted under domestic violence laws because they were not married. And the Ohio law is more narrower than ours. Like ours is more extensive. It took 2.5 years of court proceedings before the Ohio Supreme Court said, no, you can protect unmarried couples under the domestic violence protections because it doesn't rise to recognizing it as a marriage. Their amendment is one that said that that marriage is one man, one woman, and that you can't recognize anything that approximates a marriage, right? Now ours is more extreme because ours says that one man, one woman marriage is the only domestic legal union that will be recognized. So ours is much more extensive. So that's why we're really concerned about the domestic violence protections. The amendment is not going to change definition of marriage.
There's already a law. They already have a law against.
That's right. That's right. There's already a statute. And we live in an area that the judiciary is very conservative. There's not a chance in hell that we're going to see that statute overturned, even if it is challenged in court. I mean, it's just not going to happen, either at the federal district or in our state level. It's not going to happen.
Well, it could happen sometime down the road.
Well, right now, not with the makeup of the judiciary right now. We have to get different judges in the...
Is it really that bad?
It is really that bad. I mean, it is. There's no... My colleague, Max Eichner, who's one of the people who authored this report, said, it is more likely that Roy Williams and Krzyzewski will change schools and work for free than it is that the statute will be overturned in a suit.
Wow.
I mean, it's just...
I guess we need to fight on is elected officials and judges.
That's right. That's exactly right. The amendment, we can never, ever recognize civil unions, domestic partnerships, any of that stuff, because the amendment is very clear that this is... marriage between one man and one woman is the only domestic legal union. We won't be able to recognize any type of other relationship, even at a lesser level.
Well, can I ask you something? As we go through this and we look at all these different arguments, and they're good arguments, but do you almost feel like by using these arguments, which would not be my most desired thing to say, I almost feel like I'm making a concession and saying I'm going to make arguments that will be most pleasing to a heterosexual couple, heterosexual couples for the most part, who are unmarried, and I feel like I'm making a concession. I want to say, look, God doesn't make mistakes. I'm on the right track. I was born this way.
That's right.
I want to say that.
I hear you, and you're free to say that. You are absolutely free to say that, and I know that there are times and places that I have said that. What we know is that there are voters who that argument doesn't work where these arguments do. And that stinks, and it galls me, because it's like, oh, you think it's a bad idea if it hurts the straight people, but you're fine to hurt the gay people,
right.
And their families.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me mad. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I have really struggled with that. I have struggled with the way, I'm all for coalition politics and coalitional organizing and talking about all the ways that something is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. But LGBT people particularly are made invisible in these arguments. And so that's a judgment call. It's a judgment call that I make. And often when I talk to people, I talk about all of these. And then I also talk about how it is also wrong because it is not. We have a government that is a representative democracy, not a theocracy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is about a particular religious viewpoint being inserted into government doctrine. Mm-hmm. And that's just wrong.
It is. Mm-hmm. In our secular society.
Right. So I hope that is helpful. And in terms of the emotional impact of it, you are not alone in your feelings. And so what I think is important for all of us that are impacted by this is to really figure out how are we going to deal, if this thing passes, how are we going to channel that fury and that rage and that anger and that frustration and that disappointment.
Right.
What are we going to do with that?
And how are we going to act tactically on campus and through these institutions where there are laws saying that we can't even wear it on our sleeve and whatnot?
Well, as a student, you can wear anything on your sleeve.
Right.
I am limited. Mm-hmm. But only until the voting is over.
Right.
And we have some plans. And
you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good
and
ones.
They will be revealed at that event. But right now, while it's still on the voting, I am limited, and I have to just kind of work in the ways that I can.
Once the voting's over, we can act.
Well, you can act now.
Right.
You can. I would love to see this happen. I'd love to see Silent Sam have a boa around his neck and a sign that says, Silent Sam is voting against. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I can think of that I would love to do. Mm-hmm. But I just can't.
Right.
Particularly because I'm the only one providing for my family right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, but what I would say in terms of dealing with the emotions is figure out what helps you process and deal with emotions, whether that's writing, singing, running, weightlifting, talking to people, drawing, art, music, mm-hmm. sculpting, whatever it is, figure out what helps you kind of have a cathartic release around stuff, right? Because I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. And then the second piece is, where can I get active?
Right.
Where can I get active and get some of these fuckers out of the General Assembly, out of the local judge seats, out of the local commissioner, county commissioner, state commissioner? Where can I vote for people who would never have allowed this to happen?
Right. It's time to get these fuckers out.
Right. And how can I get engaged with Young Democrats or mm-hmm. Other organizations, ACLU, NAACP? How can I get involved with organizations that are going to work for social justice and equality mm-hmm. for all people?
Absolutely.
And that's what this is about. That's where we take this.
That's where I should go.
Because if we lose, it's not over.
Right.
And even if we win, it's not over because it doesn't. Defeating this doesn't bring full equality. Defeating this is a huge win. Huge, because it shows that there is a shift, there is a tide turning in North Carolina away from bigotry and prejudice and toward full equality. And we are going to capitalize on that momentum. Mm-hmm. The conservative right-wingers are saying, they're going to take over, they're going to impose they're going to ask for more, they're going to try to work toward their agenda. Hell yeah. That's exactly right.
That's right.
We're going
to be fighting like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I deserve my full and equal civil rights. Mm-hmm. And until I get them, I'm not stopping.
That's right.
And so, that's exactly what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So win or lose, this fight is not over. Mm-hmm. And I will say, even if we lose, we have won. Because when you look at where the polls were, mm-hmm. back in October when we first started polling,
Far worse.
86% of voters, of likely voters, supported the
Mm-hmm.
amendment. 86%.
And then they all found out, a
And
lot of them found out
now-
what it actually says.
Right.
And then,
now
and then
what
it's
we're
like,
looking
what?
at is 54%.
Right.
That's a huge
Huge
movement.
swing.
Huge movement.
Huge swing.
So, even if we lose this particular question,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to lose ultimately. We are going to ultimately win.
Right.
And I don't know when that is, but we're going to win.
We will.
And we will keep fighting and keep pushing until we do.
Yes.
And so take those emotions, find some way to get some cathartic release around them.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's physical activity
Oh, yeah.
and it's music. Those are my two
Well,
things that I go
same
to.
thing here for the most part.
Yeah.
Some sort of physical activity and then movement. And
Yeah.
then,
And my spiritual foundation supports me, and I have to believe, I've had this quote up here by Martin Luther King Jr., that basically says, when we don't see any hope, when all we see is the clouds and all we see is the injustice, what we have to do is trust that there is a greater power and that the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice.
yes.
And, I believe that, and I'm going to fight like hell to make it bend quicker. But I know that ultimately it will. If people of good conscience don't stand idly by, ultimately the arc of the universe bends towards equality.
I believe
and
so.
Justice.
I believe so. I really hope so.
Yeah. So hang in there, and we've got, I'm getting ready to go down to the polls, and we welcome more folks to be out there, talk to people, and encourage them to go vote against. And
Well, do you know what time it is? by
yeah,
chance?
it's 10 to 11.
Ooh, I've got a friend I'm supposed to meet for a brunch around 11:30ish.
Okay, and has that friend voted already?
I'll ask him. And I'll give him.
If he hasn't voted, talk to him about voting against. So you can
he
go,
would. He is against it. I know that much because
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him about it.
Yeah, so go have your brunch with him,
Mm-hmm.
and then walk back up to Ram's Head. Where are y'all going to eat?
Well, he's got a place in Durham he wants to go to.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Well, maybe
I think it's
are you
Torero's.
meeting? Are you meeting? Oh yeah, I like
Yeah,
Torero's.
mhm.
Are y'all meeting there? Or are you meeting up here?
Well,
in the
I'm going to
yard?
walk over to Caribou, and he's going to pick me up there.
Okay.
Probably around 11:15.
So, you could say, "Have you voted yet?" Before you vote, before we go
Before
eat,
we
let's go
go.
to Ram's Head.
If you haven't done this
You
already.
can park in Ram's Head parking deck. It's free parking. You don't get free parking on this campus.
No.
So, drive over, pull into Ram's Head,
Mhm.
take the elevator up, go into the dining hall, to the second floor,
Mhm.
cast a vote, and then go eat dinner. Go
Tell you
eat
what,
lunch.
if he hasn't voted yet, I'm going to say, I am not going anywhere until you vote. that's
And
it.
here's how you do it. Let's go to Ram's Head. It's free parking.
I'll buy you lunch if you go vote against the amendment right now.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I feel better, and thank you.
Yeah. And we are gonna win eventually.
Eventually. It's
Eventually.
going to take a while, but we will. And if you know anyone else who'd be interested in the Operation Chaos,
Cool.
just let me know.
All
Just
right.
email Jason Rainier.
All right, we'll do it.
All right.
All right, Jason. Good talking to you.
Good
Thanks a
talking to
lot.
you as well.
Take care.
Hi, is
Hi.
Miss Conover in?
I haven't seen her. She's on leave.
She is?
Huh?
My
Are you
name...
supposed to have a meeting with her? Or?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I was just wondering if I could talk to her. Someone recommended I ask her. We just have a couple of questions and concerns, and we thought a political science professor, particularly a administrator, might be able to help us.
Administrator.
Mm-hmm.
The associate chair is here. I mean,
Is he here?
yeah. Can I ask who you are?
My name's Jason Rainier,
Hi.
freshman.
Okay.
Nice-
I'm Rebecca. Hi. Is it about the department or courses or?
It's a private matter. It has to do with voting, though, so we
Okay.
think a poli-sci professor would be very good.
Okay.
Is he here? Could we?
Why don't you have a seat?
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
and let me go see, if he's actually available.
Okay.
Hi, this is Mark.
Mark? Hi.
I'm Mark Crescenzi.
Jason.
Jason.
Nice to meet you.
Rebecca.
Rebecca. What can I do for you guys?
Well, we just have a question about voting, and it gets a little complicated. Well, we're both freshmen, and we have a lot of good things to say about our first year here. I mean, it's been a positive experience in many ways, and
Okay.
we're all about, barrier breaking and meeting new people and all that, and that's great. But to an extent, we really felt a lot of hostility and a lot of ostracism once the whole Amendment 1 debate erupted.
In a classroom environment?
Well, around campus.
Or just on
and
campus?
some.
Or dorms, friends.
Oh,
Just-
okay. So like
just
sort of
in
a
general.
general UNC hostility.
Mhm.
Okay, keep talking. I'm listening.
Well, I guess we are somewhat different than the average student because we're conservative Christians.
Okay.
And we come from very conservative Christian families,
Okay.
evangelical families, and we were very pro-Amendment 1, and we're just, I guess, outraged. Personally, it's our opinion, we're outraged at the radical homosexual agenda and the direction it's taking this country.
Yeah, it's quite frustrating.
Okay.
Yeah. And so,
So what can I do for you?
well, what we did is we organized we voted in our home states, which was the right thing to do. It's our civic duty to go out, register to vote. We were registered. Then we came here, and there was a voter drive, and we registered to vote here, and we voted here as well.
Wait, huh?
You can only vote on one state.
Yeah, you're not supposed to vote twice in America anywhere.
Well, we wanted to make sure that we voted for Amendment 1, even though we'd already voted absentee in our home states. So I guess, what are the chances we might get in trouble?
Oh, I would say
Very
0.
small.
Really?
Well, yes, I think that.
But are you? Neither one of you are North Carolina residents.
Well, I mean,
Well,
we
we
live
live
in
here
Morrison.
on campus, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you voted at home, early voting, and then you voted
Mhm.
here, early voting.
Mm-hmm.
So what they'll just do is they have a computer system that's designed to do this, and they'll toss one in the ballot. So you only get one vote as a citizen.
Okay, that's cool.
So that is
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, we
this-
get in trouble for that.
No, I mean,
You definitely shouldn't have done that, and if you had organized a campaign to vote repeatedly, that's a felony,
Whoa.
right?
Wow.
So if you're campaigning
Well-
students to vote more than once, that's a big
That's
deal.
different.
So if you're telling other students,
That's
We-
a big deal that you need to. My advice. I don't want you telling me anymore about that if you're doing that. But my advice to you would be to very clearly explain to anybody you're having a conversation with that each citizen of the state of North Carolina gets one vote in the state of North Carolina for any election.
Okay.
You vote once.
And that's true across the country.
Yeah.
You vote
That's right.
only once. And either you do, if you vote from another state and you do an absentee ballot, that's your vote.
One vote in the state of North Carolina.
One
but I mean,
vote, and anywhere.
For any election, a U.S. citizen.
well,
votes
right,
once.
but I mean, what we did was in different states. So I mean, what basically,
I'm confused because you said you were from.
yeah,
Morningside.
I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I was
Right.
registered to vote there, and I voted there.
And
But
that's
you're
the only
you're
one.
a North Carolina resident.
No,
I'm from Colorado.
So you should have only, if you're, you can't declare residency in two places.
That's right.
So if you registered in Ohio, you're claiming you're a resident there, you should not have voted in North Carolina.
well, you can because we did it. I mean, we've got
Well-
15 friends who did it too.
Okay, but this is where we say you should stop saying certain things to us,
Yeah.
because,
You should probably go talk to a student legal counsel or something if you want more. Because I'm not a lawyer.
Kid-
I'm not an expert in voting law, but I would say that in my interpretation, and I think this is a pretty standard interpretation, is that you vote once and you vote.
Okay.
You vote in your state of residency.
right, wherever you have, if you voted in Ohio, you cannot vote in North Carolina.
And so if you did early voting here in North Carolina, that those ballots are probably going to would get tossed if they were if
Well,
the
you know
vote was
what,
challenged.
the system sometimes isn't really that organized that
Yeah.
it reads the computers and stuff.
Okay.
Listen to what he said. You may have made him, you know, you might have done this as a person, but if you are out there advocating people to vote twice,
That's the
we
problem.
should cease and desist and bring it up with somebody and get some better advice.
And that's a felony?
Those are serious charges. It's, you know,
That's right.
and you don't know what other people are going to be saying, that you might have encouraged to do that, but
Well,
you
we were-
really can't, you need, we're just giving you facts.
Okay.
The facts are, you know, you can only vote once. Either in your home state, or if you declare residency in another state. Legitimately, you could say that you're a North Carolina resident once you're here for whatever required period of time, and that's it. But you would not be able to vote in Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other.
That's right.
But you can't. That's
And
that's
so
the law.
if Amendment 1 is valuable enough for you to want to vote in North Carolina, that's awesome. But you want to make sure you don't vote in Ohio or Colorado as a result. You don't want to vote in two states in any one election.
But this is, well,
That's breaking the rules.
okay, it's technically a felony is what you're saying.
Well, I now that's there are two different crimes here. One is voting in two different states. I don't know exactly what the level of that mistake is.
But you can get in trouble for it.
Yeah, you
People
can.
have gotten
You
in
can
trouble
get in
for
trouble
voting
for
in two different states, or
And my advice to you is that you decide which state you want to vote in, and you correct the problem. For the state you don't want to vote in, if it's Ohio, you should contact your local precinct.
Board
and
of
say,
Elections or
Board of
something, and
Elections,
you're-
say, I messed up. I voted in two places. Please fix it.
Well,
That's the right thing to do. There's a difference between doing that as an individual and campaigning others to do it too. That second one is
Which we did.
Is a severe.
which you probably shouldn't have done.
You need
under the law.
That's something I think you need to correct right away. You need to make sure everybody understands that it is illegal to vote twice.
if you were.
So you're
right.
saying we should we should come clean about that?
I think everybody you told to vote twice, is now your legal responsibility to tell them that was wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
You have a right to campaign on an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You have every right to encourage people to get registered to vote and to vote.
But I
once.
passionately also believe that human beings have a right to life, and I felt a need to make sure that I act and do everything I can to
Okay, but
preserve
those
that.
are two separate
Yeah,
issues.
we're not
That's your
saying
personal
anything about
opinion.
this
Okay.
But the
particular
law
issue.
is about voting. The law about
Mhm.
voting. We're just dealing with facts. You're entitled to feel whatever you think people should do. You have no disagreement with me.
Let-
But the law says,
Okay.
right? You can only vote once in
Mhm.
the nation. You can go out and talk to people and say that I'm fundamentally opposed to, to gay marriage, to this, the homosexual agenda, whatever. You can do that. What you can't do legally is tell people to go and vote in two different states in two different elections. You can't be doing that.
What
That's the law.
if someone contacts us? How would we handle that? If somebody says, "Did you organize people to vote, or did you vote twice.
Well,
Well,
maybe at
I
this
think
point
you have
just
to be honest, don't you?
Be honest?
If you're, listen,
Even,
yes.
I
even
should-
if we would get in
Would
trouble
lie?
for that?
Well, what other advice could I possibly give you?
We're
Don't.
not going to
What
encourage
if
you
we,
not to tell the truth.
Right?
really? What if we
Oh,
just
of
plead
course.
ignorance? Do you think pleading ignorance?
But that's
that we
not
have-
true at this point. I've just told you.
We're suggesting you
Okay.
should be honest.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then before you do this, other things, you really have to know what the law is, you know.
So it
the
would
law.
be immoral for me to plead ignorance, and you don't think I should do that? I should just tell the truth.
You've asked.
Yeah.
If you're asked, then you should say, you know.
But
listen,
you didn't ask me for, I'm not giving you a moral answer, I'm giving you a legal answer.
Okay.
You can't legally plead ignorance because we've had this meeting. And this part's important. If you were to come here and say, you know, I feel very emotional about defeating Amendment 1. I'm very, I'm very disturbed about the pro-Amendment 1 climate in North Carolina, and I'm so enthusiastic, I'm so emotional about this that I voted twice. I'd give you the exact same advice, right? I need you to understand this is not at all about your own ideological position, because it's none of my business. I support, as a professor in this university, I support you as a student.
And it's probably what other administrators would say too.
Yes.
You need
That
to
I have to
make
be
sure
honest.
you follow.
We're not going to encourage you to lie.
Yeah. Or break the
already
law.
said
Or-
that is what
and
you've
they'd say
done.
Or
that
plead ignorance.
No matter what.
I
You
hope so.
already have
hope so.
said to us, you know, that this is what you did. So for us to say plead ignorance would be totally irresponsible, you know, and probably in terms of being, you know, we're both administrative people at the university. It's not something that we're going to support you in. If you were asked, you know, if I'm asked, I'm sitting here and Mark is here and I'm here. We have suggested that you would have to be honest.
Right? Because and then all of a sudden there's liability for you, and
I'm saying that
I wasn't even thinking along those lines. I was thinking of what is the right thing to do, the legal thing to do.
just tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
listen, if you want to play this
But
out, you want to play it out, we'll play it out. You may have told other people to do this.
Yeah.
Don't answer the question.
About 20.
Don't answer
Okay,
the question.
all right,
Don't
all
say
right.
any more.
Okay,
Keep
all right.
saying things. I keep telling you, right? Just listen. If you told other people to do such and such, and if those other people are now asked, you know, it's one of those webs. You have now spun a web that's out of your control in some respects. So, you know, well, we did this because allegedly so-and-so,
Mhm.
so-and-so told us to do this.
Yeah.
So you find yourself in a little bit of a predicament right here. The best thing is probably either pick out which state you were and contact them and say, you know, I voted here, should not have done it there or there.
Will the votes that we already placed be counted?
I can't answer that question. That's a Board of Elections question.
That's right. I think the responsible thing to do is to pick which state you want to vote in, contact the other state, and ask them to cancel your vote.
Now, as a poli-sci person, as a scholar, someone who has access to a lot of information, would it be possible for you to maybe find information for me, like on the law and maybe what the chances would be of me getting caught and what the law is
Go on the
and
Board of
doing
You're
some...
Elections.
asking the wrong person in that, and you don't want to
You
go
couldn't
to-
help me out at all?
Well, I mean, I study international conflict, so this isn't my expertise.
Okay.
What you really
You may
want...
need some legal advice.
You don't
So
need
you
a political
can't help
science
me.
professor's advice. You need a legal counsel's advice. You need to go to the student union and ask to see the legal counsel there. They have people there that can help you answer legal questions. But regardless, there's a simple right thing to do here, and that is your civic duty is to vote once, right? And to put all your passion into that vote.
What do you speculate would be the chances of me being okay if I plead ignorance?
We're not
I
going down
wouldn't-
that.
You're not going down that alley?
I'm not going to speculate. I wouldn't.
Because that would be
Even
wrong.
But honestly, even if I
But-
were to, it would be as useful as you speculating in that I am not an expert on electoral law, right? I'm not.
Okay.
But there's a simple right thing to do here, right? And that is to vote in one state. And if you have told anybody to vote twice,
Students on this campus, you
But if
may
I
be
think-
needing to see a dean of students,
That's right.
you know, in terms of getting... It's one thing to come into the political science department because it's theory. I'm also, you know, it's another thing to have done something that might also be in violation of the code of conduct on this campus.
But you're talking about the right thing. personally, let me tell you something.
Oh.
I have worn this ring since I was 12 years old. This is my purity ring. When I took an oath then to practice abstinence until marriage. I haven't taken it off since then. To me, it's a very, very powerful symbol of what I stand for and what I believe.
I can't even
As
get
a
mine
Christian.
off. I mean, it's
She can't even get hers off because we believe that reproduction is something, the reproductive process, that sex is for children. And we believe in moral norms. We believe we're under attack for believing these
But we're
things,
not
and we're
disagreeing
doing
on
what we
your
believe is
opinion.
necessary.
That's awesome. From my perspective, that sounds like a wonderful wellspring of political action, right? And I'm not trying to discourage your views or your passion for those views in any way, shape, or form. I support your right to those views, 100%. All I'm telling you is there's a legal way to express your passion, your views, and there's an illegal way to do it. The legal way is to vote once, and then to campaign as much as you can to get people to vote the way you want them to. Share your passion. The illegal thing to do is to vote more than once.
Okay.
And to encourage people to vote more than once.
And that is a serious problem, to encourage other people to commit a crime in defense of your passion. Is in a way, in my opinion, is a violation of your own passion, right? You're encouraging them to break the law for something that you believe in. And that is probably not what the people who raised you and taught you these values wanted you to do, right? Regardless of those values. There's a system within which we work, and that system's there for a reason, and it allows you remarkable freedom to express your views. First Amendment is all about that, right? And
Understandable.
I would hope that this office is always going to be a place that is open to any form of expression, from right to left, all the way around the ideological atmosphere.
Well, it's difficult on this campus because we're outnumbered. We had our small group of friends who we got to vote in their home state and vote here. We call them our apostles.
I mean, even what we've done can't number the number of kids who've said things against what we believe.
But that's not
now,
what
see,
this
now you're
conversation
conflating
is
sort
about.
of the. I'm not at all trying to say that you shouldn't be evangelical about your communication of these beliefs and this desire to express those beliefs in a certain vote, right? Just as I would support the other end of the spectrum and their passion to fight Amendment 1 with everything they have. Those two things, to me, as an administrator and as a professor on this campus, those two things have equal merit in my mind. What is simple and logical and legal is you can only vote once.
Okay, so
And it's really just as simple as that. And there is nothing that trumps that. No amount of passion, no amount of feeling that you're right or that your values are so right that there's no amount of rightness that can supersede the law.
Okay, so you're basically saying that we have to tell the truth, otherwise you can't really help us.
That's not what we
Actually,
did.
I think I gave you quite a bit of help just
We
then.
said
Okay.
Yeah.
if you want, you're coming here wanting advice, and we're just talking factually. It's not about personal opinion, okay? This is about having done something that is not legal, and we can sit here and talk all day, but you probably need legal advice
Yeah,
at
that's
this
right.
point. And you really should go and find out, what the Board of Elections will have to say. You will read in the papers, right, about voter fraud or people registering to vote and going over another place, and that's taken seriously.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you everybody gets caught, because I'm sure everybody doesn't get caught. But that's something that those are the consequences of actions. If you weren't aware of it, then that's one thing. Of what the law is. Okay, but now you are aware, and so I think you need to sort of figure out how you're going to fix it in some ways. Are there chances that nobody will find out? Yes.
Now, let me say this. What if someone contacts me and I just say, look, I was registered in Ohio, and I believed I was doing the right thing there. I came down here. I changed my residence to living in Morrison on campus.
Okay.
So I did the right thing and registered to vote here, and then I voted here.
That's one thing. But now if you're saying you've now worked with other people to get them registered to vote, are you going to control the other 15 or 20 people who may be asked?
And what they tell others.
So going
Yeah,
forward,
that could-
know what the consequences are. First of all, know what the law is. It's complicated. Not everybody knows what the laws are around voting, okay?
Well, I mean, speeding is illegal too. And
Right?
But I'm not telling you to speed,
We're not...
right? I'm telling you what the law is.
I mean, everybody speeds.
Not everybody votes twice. That's a much more serious
So you're
offense.
saying that's not a good argument?
But I'm not
Okay.
here to counsel people to speed, and I'm not here to counsel you that it's okay to vote twice.
Okay.
You vote
I
once.
mean, if you could, wait, you could take it, you have to make the decision about what you think is the right thing to do here, No one, I'm not going to sit here and maybe, I don't know, neither one of us is going to tell you you're going to be contacting.
No,
We don't know.
We have no
I mean,
idea.
there's no way that we could possibly know.
Okay.
And if you're asked, you have to decide what you're going to say. We're not advising you,
I'm just telling you, legally what I
If
think.
you're contacted, then I'd suggest you would want to get legal counsel or get legal advice.
Right.
Okay.
Okay? If you're
All right.
contacted, you would want to get legal advice.
Okay.
Not what,
That's
not what Mark thinks or what I think or what the landscape is or, or what's the right thing. You need some legal advice at that point if you're contacted.
All right.
Going forward, the law is the law. You can only vote once. And you cannot be out there recruiting other people to vote twice. Those are felonies.
And if you've done that, then I think you have now that you know that it's a serious crime. I think you should consider contacting those people and explaining this knowledge to them.
Okay.
But that's your decision. Completely your decision.
We're not going to make you do that. You're just going to walk out of here. We don't have any way to follow up with you. We're just giving you legal.
All right.
Well, I'm not giving you legal.
not even legal
We're not
advice.
giving you legal advice. We're giving you some
Citizenship.
facts. Here, this is what the law is around voting.
Okay.
And I really recommend you talk to legal counsel. You find somebody to talk to.
Okay.
Either in Steel Building or I don't know where student legal counsel is, but there's got to be a student legal counsel on this campus.
And I don't know if it's...
So there's probably no administrator or anyone who'd be more sympathetic to us, or
It's
Try
not
to
about
dean a
being,
student.
it's not about being, it's not that we're not being sympathetic. We're being incredibly sympathetic. We're listening and hearing. But there's the legal issue.
mm-hmm.
We can't encourage you to break the law.
Yeah.
I mean, why would we want to do that? We're saying you're First Amendment rights. You're entitled to your feelings.
Mhm.
And, I can appreciate how strongly you feel about things. I feel strongly about some things as well.
Yeah.
However, I can't go and break the law. Or if I break the law, then there may be consequences. And you know what? I may decide that those consequences I'm willing to accept.
Okay.
There are people who make decisions and understand what the consequences are. But, to commit, to have us sort of come in and to say, well, because your convictions and feelings are so strong, that overrides what the law says, That's not for us to say. All we can say is the law is you cannot be voting twice. You shouldn't vote twice. Do people sometimes, whatever, get, you're a student, you're in one place, you're in another place. But if you're coming in and you're sharing more with us that you've actually encouraged other people to vote voting twice, then then that's different. And it's not about we're being unsympathetic. We're being very sympathetic. We're trying, if you are asked, you have to decide whether or not, you know, what you're going to do. But I think it is
I
important
just
to get
cannot
to know
help but
what the
think
law
that
is.
that perhaps administrators would be more sympathetic if we were on the other side and if our Operation
I don't
Chaos,
feel very respected.
Hold it.
No.
if our Operation Chaos, as we call it, was against.
Hold it. Now you're insulting me.
Okay.
I've made it very clear to you that this is not about your individual position on this issue, and it's not.
Okay.
Under no circumstances will I allow you to make a statement like that against me.
Okay.
I have a wonderful reputation for being objective with students for the last 13 years at this university, and I will not.
Well, I didn't
have
even say you, but maybe I said other administrators, I would imagine.
No, you did. You implied that because I wasn't more sympathetic and saying it's okay, you should do this, that I am unsympathetic towards your position, and that is not the case whatsoever.
I think if
This
students
is
came in here and said, we are against Amendment 1 strongly, and we're going to vote twice, we'd be saying the same thing to them. The law is the law.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't encourage anybody to go and vote twice, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to encourage other people to go and vote twice.
And no one else here at the college would do that either.
Do I know?
To encourage you to
You're-
vote twice?
No.
I hope
The
not.
law is the law.
I hope not.
I have done voter registration drives. I don't care if someone is a progressive, a Democrat, Republican, conservative. I don't care. But I know what the law was about getting people registered to vote. And I know what the law is about voting. So, you know, I'm with Mark. To come in and say you're not sympathetic, we could find someone who more believes. You know, as I said, someone else could come in this door. We're pro, you know, we're against Amendment 1. We're pro all of this, completely 180 degrees from you, and going to tell them the same thing. You cannot be out voting more than once, and you cannot be encouraging other people to do it. It's against the law.
I guess I can understand. I would imagine if an administrator actually did something like that, told us just to plead ignorance as opposed to be honest. I mean, they'd probably be in quite a bit of trouble themselves.
But that's
I'm not
really-
even thinking that's not where we're coming from.
This
you
isn't
come
to
in
cover
and
my ass.
You're
Yeah,
telling us to
you
do
know.
the right thing,
Telling
right?
you to do the
Okay.
right thing.
All right, I understand.
And I think you need to be informed
We
about
can
the
take
policies. Any student, okay? Any student came in. This is what I know, doing administration both here and other university for many, many, many years. Students should be familiar with the code of conduct at their university, right? Whether or not, you know, do students ever, or anybody read through what the code of conduct is for a university? Probably not.
Never.
But in the end, you know what? Everybody's held accountable to it. And if you're going out and you're going to be doing voter, you know, convincing people, you really need to know what the law is. You know,
It's important.
So ignorance of the law is not gonna.
It's never an excuse. You know, never. Just as if an officer pulls you over for speeding, you say, "I'm sorry, I didn't see the sign." Ignorance isn't an excuse. Then ignorance is never an excuse for breaking the law. I don't care what law it is, but
But it does mean that sometimes the consequences are different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different
That's why we're
circumstances.
telling you to be honest.
You know, some people will say, you know, listen, you know, I didn't see the sign, and legitimately you might not have seen the sign. And you go in and someone, you know, a judge will say, well, today, believe me, traffic court, okay, you're going to get this. And someone else could come in and say the same thing, and 2 days later, and someone else gets this, dismissed. You know, it's very...
Okay.
So,
There's
you know,
no ways
as
to
again, we're
process.
just saying to you, we don't know if you're going to be contacted or not. How do we know?
Yeah.
You know, and in the end, you know, we're not going to encourage you to not be honest.
Okay. I think that's
But
all.
again, someone may never, you know, you might not be contacted. However, you know, be careful going forward when you start enlisting other people. Then you know you're losing control over your right?
Mm-hmm.
Because can you guarantee that none of these other people are going to be contacted?
No idea.
Okay. So, I can tell you this. I can appreciate that first of all, I appreciate you coming forward and bringing this up and saying something. It takes a lot of courage. And, and I can appreciate it feels very incredibly uncomfortable. But I think, the fact is that, legally you probably should be, if you're asked, get some legal advice.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
No, I guess we can take what it is that you guys said.
All right. Well, thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for letting us in.
Yes, you're welcome, anytime.
What is it that compels you to vote for it?
We went. Really wanted to. I got to talk to her.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
She said, I don't believe in gay marriage. But I don't
Sure. Do you know which way you're going to vote on these
There's already a law in the state. There's already a law in the state that bans same-sex marriage. So this isn't really about same-sex marriage. What this does is it outlaws it makes the only legally recognized union as a marriage between one man and one woman. The only legally recognized union. That means domestic partnerships. That means civil unions would no longer exist for all purposes. And so this would affect about 90,000 couples, heterosexual couples, who just for whatever reason are not married, but are still couples. It's the government telling them that they are no longer couples. It doesn't, there's already a law against same-sex marriage in this state. All this does is it defines the only legally recognized union as being a marriage between one man and one woman.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your effort.
Exactly. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. And children too, as is extremely common.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Oh, man, I appreciate Sarah was trying to play this ourselves. I don't need to. That's good. Right. Because you're going to hear all these people on the right who are going to say this has to do with some radical homosexual agenda, or this has to do with gay marriage. It doesn't. This is going to affect more heterosexual couples than it will same-sex couples, by far. It's really going to affect everyone. So,
Hello, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
well, absolutely. Do you plan on voting now?
Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. Understandable. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Maggie, hi, this is... Barely can start to pitch to it, yeah? Mark, should I be sweating this much? Is it warm in here? No, it's just you. I mean, I know it's fine.
Hello, Miss Carr? Miss Carr, my name is Jason, and I'm calling you tonight on behalf of the Coalition to Protect All North Carolina Families. Official records show that you voted in 2008. We're calling voters like you to say thank you for being a voter. Since you are the kind of person who votes and cares about the community, we wanted to remind you about the election tomorrow. In this election, you'll have a chance to protect all North Carolina families by voting against Amendment 1. Can we count on your vote against Amendment 1?
Are you planning to vote?
Oh, we can. Excellent. Please remember to vote tomorrow.
We need about extra vote per precinct. That's why I was just encouraging folks to...
Amendment 1 defines the only legally recognized union as a marriage between one man and one woman. That's actually what it says.
How are you?
Well,
Yeah.
this is not going to affect just homosexuals. It's going to affect 90,000 heterosexual couples with children who aren't married. There's already a law. You already have a law in this state that bans same-sex marriage. You know, we could talk about that fight for or against same-sex marriage, but it's already over. It's already over. There's already a law banning same-sex marriage. What this does is it bans all other unions other than a marriage between one man and one woman. So it goes much, much further, and it's much, much more wide-sweeping. You've got all these children. You've got 90,000 heterosexual couples who aren't married with children. All their children are not going to get health insurance, the health insurance they usually get through one of their parents because their parent's working. Their parent works, they get health insurance for their employer. Because they have a union legally recognized, the employer has to pay for the health insurance of the kid, of their children. That's going to change. Children, yes, these children will not be covered.
I'm a doctor, and I'm not.
They're going to have to get insurance elsewhere.
I'm not allowed to do that.
Or they'll go uninsured. So that's just something to consider. And you also have the fact that this poses a threat to unmarried women by potentially removing domestic violence rights. Because right now you have couples living together, and these women currently get domestic violence rights. So if their husband were to beat them, they would have greater recourse. They would have greater recourse to take against their person they're living with. He would be considered a husband, even though they're not married. This gets passed. Their domestic violence rights completely change. They're out the window. So they don't have as great a recourse against abusive husbands.
Yes, it is.
Or men they're living with.
Back in April.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole debate about marriage is for all intents and purposes over. There's already a law outlawing same-sex marriage. So that point is moot. It's over. This is about children not getting covered. This is about women being deprived of their domestic violence protections and violence rights. This is different. I would highly encourage you to vote against this. Do you plan on voting?
So on North Driver Street.
Oh, you abstain from voting. Okay. All right. Understandable. For whatever reason you change your mind before tomorrow, you know how to vote. But thank you very much. All right, goodbye.
Yes.
Do you know what it says? It's on the ballot tomorrow.
I worry about it when I get calls when I'm trying to eat supper.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I couldn't understand.
I'm guilty of calling you.
Okay.
But
We're against.
if you think you might vote somewhere between 6:30 and 7.
She was pretty crazy. She was like, what? Since when do we have to? What do we legislate everything? We're supposed to tell parents, these parents and these couples who do the wrong thing. We're supposed to punish them. And sure, their kids might get punished, but since when do we make all these special laws to accommodate the kids? I was like, we do this all the time with different laws. Kids are treated differently under law incessantly. It's like drunk driving. You drunk drive alone versus you drunk drive with your baby in the back. Huge difference. Where have you been for the past 3 decades?
She was obviously conflicted, man. She wouldn't talk to you that long.
Well, I hope so. I hope so because she kept going and going and going. And she just kind of kept changing. Like, she's like, well, once I brought up all these examples of these laws that specifically protect children, that are designed to protect children, and why this is something that would specifically hurt children, she just said, well, then there's what the Bible says, and it's like, aren't you familiar with that? Aren't you familiar with? And I said, well, with all due respect, though, I understand that, but we have to be realistic here. You know, I don't want to get in debating too much religion. I just want to say the fact of the matter is you've got 90,000 heterosexual couples who aren't married, who have children. They're not suddenly going to get married. Now, if you're telling me they're going to change their habits and behavior and embrace your lifestyle and your belief in the sanctity of marriage, that's very utopian. You're endorsing social engineering. You're telling me that this law is going to change the way people are.
What'd she say?
She was just like, no, it's not. No, it's not. What you're doing is social engineering.
Did she sound like an educated person? Or just...
No, not at all. Not really. Not really.
So she didn't end up telling you really how she was voting?
She told me she's voting for it. She was very adamant about the fact that she's voting for it.
But she had all kinds of reasons, it sounds like, not just a kind of a knee-jerk.
She had several. It was partly religious. It was partly saying you're going to punish employers. And I, you know...
Do you have an estimate of what the total attempts was? Logged out?
It kind of logged me out. It said something campaign expired. And
so do you have an estimate of what the total attempts was?
I didn't. I missed
probably
that.
This times 10.
Oh, most likely, yes.
But yeah, so estimate something like that.
Okay.
So if we'd like to record that number.
Okay. 1916.
Oh, I didn't recognize you with your short hair. Good. Yeah.
So it says how many contacts that like people that you have to I saw an email today. Let me find that email.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
I know, but I totally agree. I've left it for you. That's blaming this one.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Thank you.
Let me check this email.
Let's keep our fingers crossed things turn out well tomorrow.
No, it's not. It's not said that way.
Yeah, I'd love to make myself available.
Ish. Smacked around by a few people. I feel like I just got in some sort of physical altercation with someone.
What?
I feel like I just got in a physical altercation with someone. I just got beaten up.
Did you make any headway? It's kind of hard to...
I think I made her angrier. I was very nice to her, but I think I made her angrier.
What are you going to do? Oh, wait, this one? Well, it's one of those things, like, you walk away and you're like, oh, that's an anonymous person who will never see me again. I guess I can just let that go.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the moment, that's it. It's like that's your
right.
That's your conflict.
At that
I'm
moment,
a conflict averse person, so it's hard.
Right. I could, it doesn't run through your mind. I could let this go right now. I'm going to talk to this person, and by the time this conversation's over, she's going to want to stop this thing. She's going to vote against it. But
next time.
So
good luck, man.
All right. Same to you.
Thank you. We were having a conversation. Yeah. Thank you. Y'all check which one's over. It's at the front where the recycling is.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So they.
Oh, I see.
Really?
Regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
No problem.
I left my cell phone charger over here.
I think it's up there. I'll go look. Stay away from it. Yeah, stay away from it.
Hey, did you ever just? And I understand if you couldn't, but did you, or your associate that I talked to, ever learn more about my issue? About how I voted in Ohio and then wound up voting here as well.
I think Adam said it would be voter fraud.
Okay.
And if you voted, you did an absentee ballot.
Yes.
I think you should not vote in North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I already did, then
Already voted in North Carolina?
early voted. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
He seemed to think I was going to be okay.
The colleague, I thought he said it would be voter fraud when we were in the room back there talking. But if you already did, I'd say we can't undo it.
Okay.
I will ask about that and see what he says.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I see. All right. It'll probably be, it's a big if some,
If they connect the two, yeah.
they probably won't.
Probably won't.
All right. Well, we got that.
Okay.
How you doing, miss? I'm all right. Got on my peril to protest the amendment.
What have you got left?
Expressing
What's got left
myself.
there?
What?
On your wrist.
Oh, I burned it steel coating driveways. I appreciate your button. We gotta.
Thank you.
It's all about expressing yourself and being free.
Good. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so are you having a good time?
This way. Thank you. Good afternoon. How you doing? Good, good. B, where is...
What's your last name?
The name is Michael G. Bolton, 1500
Bolton, okay.
Delwood. 1500 Delwood.
Now, you must be a junior.
Pardon, ma'am?
Michael G. Bolton
Michael
Jr.
G. Bolton, 1500 Delwood.
Okay.
That would be correct.
Okay. And your party affiliation?
Unaffiliated.
Okay.
Be
And
the first lady.
how would you like to vote today?
Preferably unaffiliated.
Okay. Okay. If I could get you to
Actually-
verify that your information is correct. Can you see?
You need my driver's license?
No.
No?
No. I just need for you to verify this is correct, and if it is, please sign right there.
That's kind of an issue. My hand's kind of tied up.
Can you just, just do something?
But
Out here.
that signature would not match anything. Does the signature have to match anything?
No.
It doesn't have to match anything?
No, it just says you signed
Just
it.
need to make an X.
Yeah,
Just
do
make
something.
an X?
Yeah, just do something.
That's all you need to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to get my ID.
No, I don't need your, I can't take your ID.
Really?
No, come here. He is not capable of signing his name today, so he wanted to know what to do.
Can you make a mark with your left hand at
It
all?
doesn't matter what kind of mark it's made?
No.
It really doesn't matter?
No.
Or can I help you?
You can help me?
Yeah.
You
Here.
can just draw it for me?
Here, put your hand on mine.
Sign and then
Yeah.
initial.
Or, yeah,
I'll tell
sign
you what,
initial.
I'm not comfortable with that. I'm going to
Okay.
get my ID,
Okay.
bring that in here, we'll do that.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you very much.
I'll hold it right here for you.
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Oh, I will. I will.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I'm voting against. Sorry. Sure.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm Swell. And the last name? The name is Romero. William De Jesus Romero. 3612 Watkins Court.
Thank you very much. And if you'll take this right here to the ballot table, please.
R-O. Would the address be easier?
No. It's just R-O. What was the third letter?
R-O-M-E-R-O.
And your first name?
The name is William De Jesus.
Okay, so the last name is
R-O-M-E-R-O. Romero.
Okay, and then
Not there.
but Romero is the last name, right?
That is the name.
Okay, and I'm gonna let you. I don't see you in our book, but this is your last name.
R-O. Trouble reading upside down.
Okay.
R-O-M-E-R. That's the name, yeah.
Okay, and then your first name is.
The name is William De Jesus Romero.
Let's see it. Here, so.
Right here,
Would
ma'am. Can I help you?
Yeah, he's not in the book.
Okay.
I'll get it.
He should be reading.
Like provisional ballot or something?
Possibly.
Registration got purged somehow. I tell him it's been over 5 years since he's voted, and maybe that's why he's not in the system.
Okay.
Have a seat, sir. You're not in the book either, and that's why they sent you over here.
Name wasn't there.
Have you ever
William.
voted here before?
No, actually, no.
Have you? Are you in this area that you're
Do I need to get...
Is your home here? You're supposed to vote in the area where you live. So do you live in this area around here, around Green Road?
Are you asking me to get my ID?
No, I just want to know if you have, if you're in this area. This
Why
neighborhood.
wouldn't I be?
Well, you could live anywhere in Raleigh and just see the sign. We've had people come in and just see the poll sign and come in to vote. So when she's finished with this person, she can bring you up in the laptop and see if you were to vote in this precinct, and then you would have the opportunity of going to where you should go and voting there, or voting on a provisional that will go down to the board of election, and then they'll open it up and make the.
Could you look up 3613 Watkins Ridge?
She's already in the laptop. We only have one laptop.
It won't make any difference in the next election, general election. It won't make any difference, but in the primary elections. But you can't change it.
Oh, wait for okay. Wait for us, that's where you are.
Yes.
First I looked and I thought, wait, he's not even there.
So it's the Quill Hollow. Unless it changes from the one.
There's register, the house number to see what ballot it is. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, ma'am. No. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. She's going to get your ballot? So as soon as I get him started and voting, then we'll handle yours, okay?
You want him to come on over here while you're doing that? Or do you, however you want to do it? How have y'all been doing it?
We just been doing it. Let me do this.
Okay.
And that way I don't mess myself up.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Just keep that in mind, just if you can just go to vote within the 5-year period. Because I don't know people vote. I don't like that they can get purge people, because we can't even take someone off if someone comes out and sees a spouse or parent. They think if the voter doesn't care to vote, it's been a long time, or they have passed away.
So what I need you to do, I'll just let you do this right here where you confirm with her that you had family members. That's the only reason that I see here. And the Wake County since I registered. So that's the one that's most beneficial. So if you do that. So this would be the ballot that you have. So that's what was supposed to argue about.
3 ways to go in that, to fit in that this.
This, okay. If you'll just take this here, and once you're done,
Not very far.
yeah, once you're done, if you can put your ballot in that and seal it and bring it back to me.
And you got his tear off number and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it when he brings it back to me.
Okay.
Your last name, please?
The name is Romero.
Spell that for me.
Romero. Omero.
And what's your first name for me, please?
The name is William.
Okay, so the first name is William.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your address for me, please?
The address is 3613 Watkins Ridge Court.
Creek Elementary School, Forestville Road. When I put in your information, it's saying that Harris Creek Elementary School, you know where that is?
Is that?
That's Forestville Road. You must live out in that area.
But this is not the right.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And, let me just put in the address if you want to do.
You know what? I put the wrong thing in the GPS. Then that's what that is.
Yeah, it may have been.
I'll just go fix that.
So do you have time to go there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when you go there, you're saying that you must show proof of ID. So just make sure you take some ID. If you have a driver's license in, you just take that in with you. So that's where it is. It's at the Harris Creek.
Why do I need ID?
It's just telling us they may have sent you something in the mail and it was returned. So proof of ID.
Proof of ID?
When is the last time you voted?
Can't remember.
So that may be it as well. So sometimes if it's been a long time or if they sent you something in the mail.
So something's up and they need ID.
Right, and they just need to verify. So you'll still be able to verify. So that would be at Harris Creek Elementary School, which is at 3829 Forestville Road.
Okay.
Okay, do you know where that is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too. Hi. See?
Oh.
Thank you. Romero?
Register over there first. That's the first place. Are you coming to vote?
Register.
Are you okay?
Yes. I heartburn and I seal coating. Seal coating driveway.
Where you hurt?
Romero?
Oh, okay. Go here first.
Ketal?
Pardon?
Ketal? Ketal?
Okay, can you spell it for me?
Llamo? Romero. Romero.
Romero.
Romero.
Is that your last name?
William Jesus William de Jesus Romero.
Is Romero your last name?
The name William de
What's your
Jesus
address?
Romero.
Okay, I think she has the R's.
No, I need you to tell me. What's your party affiliation? Your party affiliation. Who you looking at?
R's.
I need you to verify and sign right
Tiene William de Jesus Romero.
We're looking.
here. I know.
Okay, the R's must be divided.
Thank you.
It must be
Aye.
Romero. Must be in your book. Romero is this
Yeah.
gentleman here.
No, I just need to check your name.
Watkins Ridge.
Osborne.
3613 Watkins Ridge.
Is that an A? O.
Okay, and what is your address, Mr. Romero?
The address 3613 Watkins Ridge Court.
Okay. You are William De Jesus, is that
De Jesus.
Romero?
De Jesus, please.
De Jesus
Gracias.
Romero. 3613 Watkins Ridge Court, is that correct?
That address, yes.
And your party affiliation?
No party.
What's your address?
Okay.
No quiero party.
And what's your party affiliation?
We need for you to verify that this is your correct name, that this is your correct address. If it is, please sign right in that box.
Little boy.
Tiene ID? Tiene driver's license? You need?
We do not need any ID. We just needed for you to state your name and address, which you have done.
Quiero ID.
We do not require an ID.
Tengo el coche, mirar el identification.
We do not require an ID. We just require that you state your name
No.
and address.
I get passport.
No, we don't need it.
I go get.
We don't need it.
Passport colombiano en el coche.
Take it to the volunteer.
Can I?
If this is your correct name and address, sign your name right there and you may vote. Okay, you can't sign.
Tied up at the.
Can you sign? Can someone do an X?
You can make an X.
Just make an X.
Make an X.
Right.
X.
Just make an X right there for your name, since you can't sign your name. Your hand is hurt.
I get passport. Passport colombiano. I get passport colombiano.
We don't need it, sir. We don't need any ID. We don't take any ID.
Tengo el passport colombiano en el coche. No? I get.
No.
I get it.
Just put an X. X. Put an X in this box.
I get passport.
Sir,
Yeah.
you have to be verifying that you're this person, that you live at this address. That keeps people from faking things.
I get passport. I get passport.
We don't need the passport, sir. All we need to do is to have you verify that you are who you say you are.
I feel better with passport. Feel better with passport.
If you want to get the passport, you may do that, but we do not need it. We simply need for you to make an X in this box, just like this.
Voy a tener passport
Signature.
colombiano. I was wondering if Dean Sauls was in.
Do you have a meeting?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm not sure if he's available.
Okay, it would just be a minute if he's around.
Have you met with him before?
No, I have not.
Okay, may I ask what it's regarding?
An LGBT issue.
Okay.
And could another dean help you if he wasn't available?
Yes.
Okay. And may I get your name?
Jason.
Jason? It looks like he is in meetings right now, so
Okay.
I'm gonna see if Dean Blackburn might be available.
Okay.
Okay? If you'll have a seat.
Sure.
Dean Blackburn's coming right now.
Okay. Oh, hi. Jason. Could we speak in private,
Sure thing.
perhaps?
No
Okay, thank you. Hi. Thank you for being so accommodating on such short notice. It means a lot.
What's going on for you?
Well, I would just like to get some sort of, I guess, some answer, some definite answer on a certain issue that I'm having. Well, first off, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and yeah, you're not. Have you been?
I've been there before, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Germantown.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm actually a freshman. It's my first year here, and the faculty's great, and everyone's, for the most part, been good, except for some of the friends that I've made who are students or so-called friends. I guess have been a little confrontational to me on certain things, and really most of it blew up around the Amendment 1 issue.
Sure.
Things just kind of got out of control around that once that
issue.
oh yeah, once that came around. And I mean, my feelings towards it are I just feel like, as a bisexual man, and I don't always like to say bisexual, I usually say I'm just open to love and open to affection, and that's the way I put it. Is people might get the wrong idea when I say bisexual. The things that they associate with the word.
Sure.
I just feel like I'm almost fighting just for self-preservation. I just feel like there's an attack on my rights. I'm just watching them being stripped from my hands. And
primarily around the amendment discussions.
Yes.
And all. Yes.
And I mean, for the most part, it's little things that they keep gnawing at me. Like, I'll change my Facebook profile picture to a nice sign that says "Vote Against the Amendment," with some Carolina blue in the background and some gold letters, and then immediately, like, 5 of my so-called friends immediately on Facebook change their Facebook profile pictures to signs that say "Vote for the Amendment." And I brought a copy of your policy and procedures. Our policy and procedures. Consistent with this principle and applicable laws, it is therefore the university's policy not to discriminate in offering access to its educational programs and activities or with respect to employment terms and conditions on the basis of race, color, gender, national origin, age, religion, creed, genetic information, disability, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. Amendment 1 is just antithetical to your policy.
Absolutely.
To our policies and procedures and what we stand for at this school, in this institution. And so I was basically registered to vote back in Ohio, and I came down here and I registered to vote here, voter reg drive, and so I just figured I'm doing my civic duty, registered to vote, and I voted absentee ballot back in Ohio, and I early voted here.
Which I don't think you can do both.
You can't?
I don't think so.
Well, that's my issue. I mean, they're prying my rights from my hands, and I voted in my home state and voted here, my second home state. So, I mean, you're going to pry my rights from my hands. It's like Dan Savage says when he's on a TV show. He says, "You're being rude to me." I mean, I'm sure you can say I'm being rude to you, but you're taking my rights away. Which is worse? They're taking my rights away. I'm voting multiple times. But tell me which is worse.
Yes, right. Well, and I think, the challenge is the university tries to create, as an institution, tries to create an environment that is welcoming to all individuals and creates a safe space for free expression, because not everyone agrees.
Right.
What
I've certainly learned that.
Right. What free expression has to stop at is where it becomes, I wish it was where it becomes offensive to others, but it's actually where it becomes violent to others. And so, friends have a right to post on their Facebook, obviously as a private place, their beliefs and preferences. They just can't post anything like queer should be killed.
Okay.
So I wish it were a broader gray area than that. But that being said, you have a right in your living environment to also be in a safe space. And if you feel like within the context of your residence hall room, are you on campus?
Yes, Morrison.
All right. So in the context of your residence hall room or your suite or your building, if you feel like, again, people can disagree, but if you feel like they are creating an environment that is hostile to you specifically, or making threats to you personally, or inciting others towards violence, that's where the policies will be more protective than just more generally.
All right.
Have you experienced any of that along the way? Any straightforward threats or aggression?
I can't say straightforward threats. I mean, I've just what I've said, harassment on things like Facebook and whatnot. And I mean, people say, well, just turn Facebook off. You can't do that when you're a young person. That's 80% of your life.
Yeah, a very strong, smart-ass attorney would say, just defriend them.
Right, right. And then there's just all the drama that erupts when you do that. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I feel like God doesn't make mistakes. I'm on the right track. I was born this way. Yes. So I'm playing by the rules. Yes. I'm attending classes and doing my best. And this Amendment 1 stuff comes along, and it scares me. I feel like I'm being raped.
It's a very strong amendment that is designed to take away, to ravage your rights. No doubt about it.
Right.
Yes.
So I don't feel so unjustified in what I did in voting twice. And I mean, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. And I mean,
at the worst, it might invalidate one, so I wouldn't sweat that too much.
Well, I have a number of friends who did, well, it's a little more complicated. I have a number of friends who are out-of-staters who did the same thing, too, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Over 20.
It's, and there may be, I probably need to back up and make sure I'm telling you correctly, because you may be able to vote in both primary elections, because those are more localized more often, not always, but Amendment 1 is certainly a North Carolina issue and not an Ohio issue. But you may be required to vote once for the fall November election. So I'll try to do some research on that.
Okay. Well, that's the thing, because it's not just the local scene where we're getting bombarded and attacked. It's the national scene. We're being stripped of our rights.
Without a president who's willing to stand up and make a stronger statement.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. And so, I mean, are you familiar with radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh?
I'm afraid I am.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, he had his Operation Chaos back in 2008, where he told all of his Republican lackeys who listened to his show, go vote for Hillary Clinton and try to just create chaos in the Democratic Party. Well, I've got a large group of friends, and for the most part, once we saw that it was clear Romney was going to get the nomination, we all went and voted for Gingrich.
Well, that'll be an interesting twist.
So we voted for Gingrich in our home states, and we voted for Gingrich here.
That'll be funny.
Yeah.
So, North Carolina turned Gingrich.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
shake things up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Well, what's your, you mentioned that you have some so-called friends that are not as supportive. What's your support systems like here locally, and maybe back home if you're going home for the summer, but what are they here right now?
My ex-boyfriend, Mark, and...
Still kind of close?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I call home. I mean, the big thing is, with the voting, I mean, we're not going to get in trouble for voting multiple times, are we?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it would be one of those things where it's quote not legal. It's illegal to do that. But I think the worst would be is that your vote would be invalidated in one of the places.
Okay.
But it's a pretty big country.
Right.
So cross state lines.
I mean, North Carolina's a big state too,
to
and
figure all that out would take some time.
I got a cousin who lives in Greensboro, and I went to visit him, and so we went to this concert. There's a voter drive outside of it, and so like I registered his address. He told me to do it, and I wound up voting there too.
So
against the amendment.
Twice in North Carolina?
Yeah, by mistake actually.
Okay, so
Didn't
yeah,
realize it till after
that
the
might
fact.
end up, but they have a way of just kicking that stuff out. So.
Okay, so I'm not going to get in trouble or anything.
I don't think so, but I'll check on it for you to see.
You're not going to go.
No, that's not my role at all.
Okay.
So my role is to advocate for you and to help you out. And if it comes to the situation where you end up in trouble, then we have a student legal services office that can kind of help offer you some guidance. They can't represent you.
Okay.
But your fees pay for their consultation.
All right.
So it's in the union if you need that. Now they're only open during days that classes are in session, which means they're not open right now because we're in exams.
Okay.
They wouldn't be open again until summer school.
And I appreciate the opportunities and these resources for us, and I love that there's an on-campus voting place, and I utilized it along with the place in Greensboro, incidentally. But I just want your assurance that I'm not going to get in trouble.
Let me check, and I won't even take your whole name. I'll just take your first name and your phone number, and I can text you. Whatever's the easiest way to get in touch with you.
Okay, all right.
What is your first name again?
Jason. Jaso.
I kept thinking Chris for some reason. I'm like, who did I hear Chris from today? All right, Jason. What's the best way? Phone number? Or
you can just text me.
Okay.
919-224-9693.
Do you have you had the opportunity to meet our LGBTQ Center director, Terry Phoenix?
I've heard the name a couple times, but I haven't met her yet. I should probably get in touch with her.
Absolutely would. Terry's a great person and far more knowledgeable on this issue than I am. I identify as bisexual as well, and I'm very involved in the process and fighting this amendment and doing all kinds of stuff.
Well, then you understand. I mean, you say bisexual, and people immediately assume that you like to sleep around with everything, and that's not the case.
It's an issue where more times than not I identify as gay just because it's an easier political identity than bisexual is. But what I would prefer to be is just Dean.
Oh, right.
Which is my first name in the title here, actually. But Dean, and, to give me the space to just be who I am without constrictions and labels and those sort of things.
Right.
As a culture, we're not there yet. It's a process getting us there. And taking the term bisexual or anything else is a political statement.
It is.
That shuts you out of your straight friends and your gay friends. Gay friends think you're only halfway there, and the straight ones think you're sleeping with everybody.
That's it, right.
But so I do get where you're coming from on both fronts, both our identities and the freaking amendment issue.
You're right.
But Terry Phoenix, the director of the LGBTQ Center, has done all the homework on the amendment and voting, and she would know more. So I'm going to check with her first, get a sense of what it means to have voted twice, or 3 times in your case, but at least twice in North Carolina, and if there's any issues you might want to go ahead and try to be proactively responsive to versus anything else. She would know, and she's a great ally. I mean, she's
an ally against the amendment.
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
And she is a great activist. So she very ethical, very professional, but believes in the subversion sometimes.
Oh, and, subvert. Okay.
Yeah. So much like you guys did around voting for Newt.
Our own little Operation Chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. So she appreciates that along the way. She thinks that's clever stuff.
I'm glad you guys appreciate that.
Yeah. Exactly. Not everybody would, but we get it. So
good.
So I'll get in touch with her. I'll kind of figure this out, and I'll text you from my phone.
Okay.
My phone, and I'll sign my name so you know it's me. But my phone is the first 3 digits is 259. So if you see it,
259. Well, that's going to stand out. Yeah.
259. Okay. So easy enough there. But so let me work on that for you. But what else would be helpful right now to just give you some peace of mind for the next 2 or 3 days?
Well, that was it. Just the voting thing. I just wanted to make sure me and my friends aren't going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I've got about 25 friends who partook in our little Operation Chaos, and that's kind of a conservative estimate.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'll do that. I'll try to get that to you. What time is it now? I'll try to get to you by the end of the day.
Okay.
I'll be here till about 5:30, so I'll try to shoot you something by then. If I haven't been able to locate her or find the information online, then it'll probably tomorrow, but don't sweat it in the meantime.
Okay.
What's your remaining exam schedule like, and are you going home for the summer? Are you going to hang out here and do an internship? What's your plans?
I'm actually going home for the summer, and I've got one more exam on Thursday morning, but that's it.
Okay, so you're heading out.
I'm going to go
Thursday night,
study.
Friday, something like that?
Yep, Friday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely have some information between now and then.
Well, I appreciate
sure.
that.
You bet.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I really do.
Anything
Thank
else?
you. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Breathe easy for now. And we will continue to do our best to live up to what that policy says, which is creating an environment that's welcoming for everybody.
Okay.
If you ever experience any direct, I think if you experience harassment in general regarding your identity, come let us know. We can't always do anything about it, but we like to register the complaint so that we can show to the chief of police and the chancellor that this stuff is happening on campus.
Okay.
And they're both allies, but they need numbers more than our opinions. So any of your friends that experience that, let us know. Certainly if you experience threat of violence or attempted violence, you can let us know or call 911, and we'll get you the support you need.
Okay, well, that means a lot. Thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Yeah, glad you came in.
Dean Blackburn, thank you very much. God
Dean
bless.
is fine.
Thank you.
Easy.
Thank you, Dean.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck on that exam.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Take care.
You too. Hello. Hi, me again. Sorry. Yes, I did, but she's out for now, actually. I was wondering, could I speak to the provost for a minute? Would that be possible? An LGBT-related issue? Okay. Yes, I am.
He'll be right out.
Okay, thank you. Jason. Okay. Hello, sir. Hi. If it's about somewhat of a private matter, could we speak in person, in private? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, anywhere? Or, all right. Well, I'm a member of the LGBT community. I'll say that much, and I'm from Ohio. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and the faculty here is great. It's my freshman year, and I've been enjoying things for the most part, but I guess a lot of the attitude that I get from my new friends, so-called friends, and people that I've met, the student body, has been somewhat hostile at times, or confrontational, and everything's just blown up around this whole amendment.
What year are you?
I'm a freshman.
Okay.
Around this whole Amendment 1 debate, things
yes.
have just blown up like insane, and it blows my mind. And I have a copy of the university's policies and procedures here, and it says, consistent with this principle and applicable laws, it is therefore the university's policy not to discriminate in offering access to its educational programs, activities with respect to employment terms and conditions on the basis of race, color, gender, national origin, age, religion, creed, genetic information, disability, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression.
Right.
And you have great policies and procedures. And
yeah, well, there's always a link between policies and practice.
Right, exactly. And I've just noticed I changed my Facebook profile picture to a nice sign that said vote against the amendment, and like all of my new friends here just immediately changed their profile pictures to vote for the amendment.
What? That's sort of shocking.
I know. Can you believe that?
That surprises me.
Yeah, it surprised me too.
Especially in this town, on this campus.
But. Yeah, yes. People told me originally in Ohio, well, you're going to the South, and they're not going to be too welcoming to a bisexual man. And I don't even like to say bisexual. I like to say open to love and affection. And they're not going to be too welcoming. But I said, well, I visited the area and I visited the campus, and people are very tolerant there. It's a college campus. It's a very open-minded community. But I just feel like almost like my rights are being absconded with, like stripped of me. I mean, I almost feel like it's more like me struggling for self-preservation.
Yes.
You understand?
Intellectually, yes. I don't get the depth.
Well,
I sense your intensity here, so.
Well, I
understand.
I feel like I'm being raped. Amendment 1 is antithetical to your policy and procedures.
It is, and it's repugnant to me personally for a host of reasons. And I unfortunately expect it to pass. But we'll find out in a week.
I was registered to vote in Ohio, and I registered to vote here in the state, North Carolina. And I voted absentee ballot in Ohio, and I early voted here. I'm not going to get in trouble for that, am I?
Yeah. I can't. You shouldn't.
Okay. Because they take away my rights, and I'm voicing my opinion in 2 different states. You tell me what's worse. I mean, you're not going to tell anyone, are you? Or get me in trouble?
No,
okay.
This is between us.
Okay.
I'm glad you voted.
Thank you.
Just put it that way.
Voted twice, technically.
Technically, but only once on an amendment.
That's true. So that's all right.
I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. I've got several friends who actually are from out-of-staters as well who did the same thing. Are we okay?
There's probably no crosstalk between the 2 states, I would expect.
Well,
if there is, what's the problem? I mean, I don't know. Okay. Have you talked to Terry Phoenix?
No, I haven't.
You really should talk with her. She chairs the LGBTQ committee.
Okay. Is she over in Saspy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
She works for, fundamentally, she's out of student affairs, but she has also chaired the provost committee on LGBTQ life here on campus, and we got a report from her this past fall.
Okay.
So I can well imagine the amendment is inflaming people in different ways. I must say, you're telling me about your colleagues. I hesitate to call them friends, but putting up in favor of.
Well, I've got actual friends, like real friends, like I'm friendly with, on good talking terms with, who are from out of state, who voted at their home state and voted here, and they were doing it, so I did it, and I didn't think too much of it. And
well, I'm not going to pursue anything on this particular thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I might talk with the university council in a generic fashion at some point, but
I was afraid you were going to get on the phone and be calling cops or something, but I wanted to ask.
No. Okay.
Okay, that's good. Well, I mean, I have a couple of friends, and myself included. I mean, we're trying to stop. I mean, we're very passionate. We're trying to stop the opposition that's coming at us right now, and the whole national dialogue concerning our rights that we feel are under attack in the national stage.
I have a feeling the country is moving backwards in significant steps at this point, morally as well as economically and host of things.
Right. Romney's no better than Santorum. He's
Not
going to
really.
be there to take us back, and that's why I can't stand what's going on. And
Well,
I mean, you've
Obama at least is out in front at this point. But this is going to be a tough time. Where's Ohio headed?
Ohio? Oh, jeez, John Kasich.
Yes.
Well, if he doesn't get recalled like in the next 2 minutes, he's not going to win re-election. I mean, Kasich, he pushed the SB2, Senate Bill 2 thing too hard, and he's going to get what he deserves. Let me ask you this. I've got a couple of friends and myself. We're sick of what's going on the national stage, and it depresses us. And I voted for the nearest to top contender in the Republican Party in my home state of Ohio. And here, I just because I'm so sick of what's going on, I want to show them and create disunity in their little fascist circle. So I voted for Gingrich in Ohio, and I voted for Gingrich down here. So I mean, there is somewhat of an overlap because it's a national thing, but
it's sort of a local thing. And Gingrich is withdrawn anyway.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna. Okay.
now this is entre nous.
Okay. So I'm not gonna get in trouble or anything for that.
Okay. Unless the authorities discern this, and even then I don't know.
Because I've got a ton of friends who did the same thing.
Tabby's here. Could you come in?
Sure.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Nice to
Kathy
meet
Clayton.
you.
Nice to
meet you, Dr. Clayton. I was just telling. Well, I think we resolved most of the issue, but my whole question, which was regarding
It might be better if I leave while you talk to Kathy.
You think that's a better
Just so
idea?
It's one-on-one.
Okay.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we do it here? That's nice and comfy. I won't be too long.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a beautiful office.
Thank you. I pay for it.
Well, I'm actually from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And I guess everyone told me that originally, you're going south, and they're not going to be welcoming to a bisexual man.
Yes.
I don't even like to say bisexual. I'm open to love and open to affection, and that's the way I put that.
Yes.
Right. And well, everything has been, for the most part, okay, except as soon as the whole Amendment 1 debate erupted, it's craziness.
Okay.
And, I mean, I would change my Facebook profile picture to a nice sign that said, defeat the amendment, and with Carolina blue in the background and gold lettering, defeat the amendment. And immediately, like, my new friends would change their profile pictures to vote for the amendment. I mean, just like that. So, I mean, I can read in between the lines there. And I just feel like my rights as a bisexual man are being pried from my hands. And it's very distressing to me. I feel like I'm in a fight for self-preservation with this Amendment 1 issue. And
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Don't mean to interrupt.
Well, I came down here, and a gentleman was registering people to vote, so I registered to vote in North Carolina. Civic duty, as he said, and so I did so, and I was also registered to vote in Ohio. And I voted absentee in Ohio, and I early voted here. Am I going to get in trouble?
For voting two places?
Yes, for double voting.
I'm not sure about that. I imagine if...
Well, you're not going to tell anyone, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. No. So, here's what I can tell you about Carolina's commitment to the LGBTQ community. Is that we are committed. Tell me your name again.
Jason,
we're committed to people being able to bring their whole selves on this campus into the classroom and into anywhere that constitutes the context of this campus community. And Amendment 1 has been something that's challenged the institution's ability to be as equitable as we desire to be.
it goes against your policies and procedures.
Yes, it does. And so Now, as people express themselves and, operate within their First Amendment rights to express a dissenting view, that certainly is their right to do it. However, this institution says that we value diversity and inclusion, that we do not discriminate, and that we also embrace all forms of diversity and believe that people should be able to, as I said, bring their whole selves into our academic community context.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to feel affirmed in that. There are folks, I don't know if you've met or talked to Terry Phoenix over at the LGBTQ Center.
Not yet, no.
She's a wonderful resource. I just met with her yesterday. I would strongly suggest that as you have time, I know it's a busy time semester-wise,
Mm-hmm.
but please reach out to Terry.
Okay.
She'd love to talk to you further. There's a staff over there. There are folks who are just committed to this work. And so that's another way in which Carolina demonstrates its commitment through having this center and through having professionals who are there for us, for you. Okay?
All right.
All right.
I appreciate that, but I'm
you're welcome.
not going to get in trouble or anything? Or?
No.
Okay.
I do not perceive that you're going to get in any trouble.
I mean, it's just, I don't see how I could, because they're stripping me of my rights, and I'm voting twice. I mean, you tell me what's worse.
I think you're fine. Look, this is the way I think the system works. If there is a problem and they find that you voted twice, they'll just not count your second vote, likely.
Okay, if they find out.
Yeah, if.
All right.
And that's only if.
And they probably won't.
No.
Okay.
They probably won't.
Okay.
All right.
You made me feel better.
Well, good. I'm glad I could. So, Jason, pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure's all
meeting
mine.
you.
The pleasure's all mine.
All right. And I wish you the best in your studies.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to need it.
Yeah. Knock it out.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
All right. You should take care, huh?
All right. You
All right.
as well.
All right.
Could you thank the the provost gentleman? I forgot his name. Could you?
Carney.
Oh, could you thank Dr. Carney for me?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, may I please speak to Mr. Gorskowski?
Speaking.
Hi, Mr. Gorskowski. The county is forming its 2-year jury duty pool, and we noticed you were called for jury duty in the last 2 years and were disqualified for the reason you were a non-citizen. We want to check and see if that is still the case.
I'm sorry?
We noticed you were called for jury duty in the last 2 years and were disqualified on the grounds that you were a non-citizen. We would like to check and see if that is still the case.
No, it's not the case.
It's not the case? You are a citizen now of the United States?
I don't know who are you calling from.
I'm sorry?
I don't know.
You don't
who
know?
Who are you calling from?
We're an independent agency that makes sure that private citizens don't get called for jury duty more than they have to.
It's not the question that I have to answer to you.
Well, we don't mean anyone any harm. We only help people.
You help people for what?
We make sure that you don't get called for jury duty if you don't have to get called for jury duty.
They know my record, and this is just a phone call.
Okay. Are you a citizen now of the United States, or are you in the citizen process, or? Sir?
Yes.
You are a citizen?
Yeah, I don't know who you are and what is the interest for you.
Well, we're an independent agency that monitors public records, particularly jury duty forms and jury duty pools.
Okay. They just call them.
Well, we have the public records. We did call them, and we got the public records.
You have
from
the public record?
Yes, but we're making sure the public records are still
Who
up
gave you
to
the
date.
public records? Who gave you the public records?
The county does.
The county does?
Yes, local governments.
Well, they sell their information like this?
They do not sell the information. It's public information. You can request it yourself.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. That's dangerous.
It's transparency. Are you a citizen of the United States?
It's not the question I answered to you because I don't know who you are and who you're calling from.
All right. Okay. Understandable.
Okay.
All right.
Hi. Could I talk to the Dean of Students?
May I ask what it's regarding, or do you have an appointment with
Oh,
him?
I was sent here by the chancellor's office. They said he could help me out.
Okay, did they give you a particular dean? Did they say Dean Sauls, or was it an assistant dean?
Trying to remember.
I just want to see who's available.
Which ones?
Can you tell me, just, you don't have to go into specifics,
I think
but
it's
what is...
Blackburn was the name?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dean Blackburn. He is actually not in the office yet this morning.
What time would he come in?
Let me look at his calendar. He should be, well, he has a 10 o'clock meeting, so...
Is there anyone else who's here?
I can see if...
I would feel more safe talking to a man.
You would prefer to talk to a man? Let me see if Dean Brown's available. If you'll have a seat. What's your name?
Melissa?
Melissa, okay. If you'll have a seat, I'm going to see if Dean Brown's available.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Dean Brown's going to be able to talk to you. He just needs a minute to finish something up.
Can you count this man, please, to Dr. Schuper for me?
Yeah.
At OBC?
Yeah.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing all right.
I'm Dean Brown, by the way.
Hi. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. So what's going on this morning?
Well, my classes are over, so I just wanted to talk to somebody who was able to just understand what's going on. I want to get more involved politically, and what's happened is, this is my purity ring. I can't get it off. I've been wearing it since I was, 12. And I really always wanted to get married, and at the time that I started wearing my purity ring, I was too young to really understand everything that was involved. But as I got older, I learned about homosexuality and I learned about polygamy, and it just really scared me to see all those different things, kids getting in homes where they don't have a mother, they don't have a father because they're in a gay home. And so what I wanted to do, I actually did this because I'm from Colorado, and so I came here and I felt like I would have my rights respected, down here, but it was a little bit, I've seen a lot of people who are pro-homosexuality, and they're for those things, and so what I did is I registered to vote in Charlotte, and I registered to vote here, and just because here in North Carolina it's so important to vote for Amendment 1, the one that makes sure marriage is defined as between one man and one woman, and that's the civil union that's respected and seen as a marriage, because that's what marriage really is. And then I'm also voting at home in Colorado, so I'm registered in 2 places. I just felt like it's really important for me to vote in 2 different places, just to make sure that President Obama doesn't get into office again. So, is that legal to do that?
I mean, I think there's a couple of ethical issues there, right? Like being registered in North Carolina in 2 different places definitely is not legal, right? So you need to pick where you want your registration to be, either here or in Charlotte.
So I would have to cancel one of those.
Yes, you need to pick one of those because you can't vote in 2 different municipalities.
But I feel like it's so important to make sure the president doesn't get reelected.
Well, that might be your importance, but if you're talking about things that are values-based for you, I don't see how you can say that you're going to, you're talking about being a good person and doing the things that you believe in, but you're also advocating voter fraud. So it's sort of like a conflict of your values, I would say. And so if you're looking at, like, okay, I want these political things, these things are important to me, these things are the things I want to vote for, but I'm going to do it in an unethical way, I'd ask you to think about that and whether or not that really fits with the image you want to portray of yourself.
Okay, so it would be against my values.
I'm asking you, you'd have to define that, but from what you're describing to me, it sounds like it would be incongruent with your values.
Would it be incongruent for a liberal student to vote?
It would be to vote in 2 elections, yes. I would say in 2 different municipalities in one state, yes. I would say the same thing. It doesn't matter a person's political leanings. You get to be a registered voter in one state, in one location.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
And so now if you move back to Colorado and you register to vote there, I think that's a different thing. So you're actually living in one place and moving to another, but in one state it's one ballot, one state, one person. So,
okay, even registering just to vote for Amendment 1?
Yeah, certainly. I don't think it's about what you choose or choose not to vote for. It's about doing things the right way.
Okay.
And so that's what I would say.
Yeah, thanks for that advice. I'll unregister, probably in Colorado, so I can vote here.
Right.
So, all right. That's what I wanted to know. So
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you. You have a good day.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Hi, could you help me find Terry Phoenix?
What office does Terry work in?
I don't know if I can name the department. A couple of people sent me over to this building saying that she worked on the 3rd floor.
What are you wanting to see her for?
I'm a journalist for the Daily Tar Heel.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just
No, that's
Terry
fine.
Phoenix is. Yeah. Terry's office is down the hall. It's like the next to last door on your left. It's the LGBTQ office.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Who's in here? I'm looking for Terry.
I'm Terry.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Are you guys just sitting down? Is there a chance I could join?
Sure, have a seat. What's your name?
My name is Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Mhm.
This is Danny.
Hey, Rebecca. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm doing a piece for the Daily Tar Heel, and they said that I could probably talk to you about some of the issues that are surrounding, political issues surrounding sexual orientation and race, too. They said you'd probably be a good person to talk to, so of course I'll send you the article before anything gets printed. But what I...
And you did it for the DTH? Are you going to be publishing? Do you publish in the summer?
Yeah, I think it'll come out this fall. They just said that I would be able to write. I'm just a freshman, and I took a journalism class, and they said I could probably write something for them. So I was just wondering, would you say that with voting that there's discrimination against people for their sexual orientation or for their race?
That's a big question. You do know about the Amendment 1 that's on the ballot right now?
Yeah, I've read about it.
That's a pretty direct act of discrimination against same-sex couples. Because lack of recognition, of any form of recognition, is going to be very detrimental to allowing people to provide health insurance for their families. It's going to endanger all couples, not just gay couples, but it's going to endanger all couples' ability, if they're unmarried, to be protected under domestic violence laws. There are concerns about custody and end of life, particularly for same-sex couples, but not exclusively for same-sex couples. And this amendment was targeted directly at same-sex couples. Already same-sex couples are not eligible, because they're not eligible to be married or have their marriages recognized. They miss out on 1,138 rights, benefits, and privileges that are accessible only through marriage, and that's from the Government Accountability Office data, and then plus the state statutes that are on top of that.
Okay.
So clearly there is discrimination. There's institutional marginalization and discrimination against same-sex couples.
Yeah.
There's also clear documentation about employment discrimination among LGBTQ communities, particularly if they are also people of color. When you look at trans people of color, they have the highest unemployment rate, the highest rate of assault, the highest rate of homelessness, the highest rate of lack of insurance. I mean, there's a whole study that was done, and you can go to the National Center for Transgender Equality and look that information up. But yeah, so there's still clearly discrimination that occurs.
Okay. So
now, when you talk about voting in particular, that's a whole nother conversation that we could have around what happens and who gets asked for ID and who doesn't, and what are the voter ID acts targeting? Who are those acts?
Yeah, I read about some of the voter fraud stuff that's going on. I mean, Eric Holder actually said that there isn't voter fraud.
There's actually not.
Really?
I mean, voter fraud is a straw person. When you look at, show me a statistic, show me a study that has documented great rate of voter fraud.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one.
Wow. So even though they're not asking for ID and stuff like that, there's still nobody committing voter fraud?
They're not supposed to be asking for ID.
Why not?
There are polls, because it's not the law. If you're registered to vote, and you're on the roll, and you can confirm your address, that's all our law requires. You have to show ID to register to vote. That's when you have to show ID.
Okay. And who keeps track of that? Can you register to vote online?
The Board of Elections keeps track of that.
Okay.
There's a state Board of Elections and then a county by county Board of Elections.
Okay. But that keeps everything in check. There's really no...
Well, I mean, I can't say that there's not a single case, because there probably is, but it's not such that it's going to swing the way that an election goes.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen any research that says that. The research that I know of hasn't found high levels of voter fraud. I mean, it's not What it has found is
yeah, because I was researching it and I couldn't find any. There are people trying to say it that there is, but there's really no number of it. All right. Well, I'll probably come back with pen and paper or something and see if I can finish an article. But I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions and make sure I could come in here and know where you are. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah.
Hello. Is Wayne Romero home? How can I help you? We have a question for him about his jury duty form.
Why are you recording? Turn that off.
We just have a question.
Turn that off.
We just have a question.
Turn that
about
off.
the form.
Turn that
Do you
off.
know
That's against the law.
Is he United States? On his form, he said he's not a United States citizen.
Turn that off.
Did he commit
Turn
perjury
that-
on that form?
Okay.
Or is he
I'm going to tell you one more time.
registered to vote?
Turn that off.
Do you know the answer?
Okay. I'm going to tell you one more time. You're breaking the law. I'm telling you to turn that off.
Do you know the answer to the
Okay.
question, sir?
Do you understand what I'm telling you? Go ahead and turn that off. Go ahead and erase whatever he just asked me, you erase. You ever put that on TV anywhere, I'm going to sue your ass. Very simple.
Okay.
Understood?
Thank you.
And who are you with?
Thanks, sir.
And who are you with?
Do you know if he's a citizen, sir?
Who are you with?
Is he a United States citizen?
Turn that off. I don't know
We're on public property, sir.
Okay.
He has the right to film.
Okay. But I'm telling you, I'm not consenting you to film that.
It doesn't matter. You know the law.
I know the law as well. And who are you with?
Sir, you haven't answered our question.
Okay.
Could you answer our question?
Who are you with?
Could you answer our question?
First of all, I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Sir, we're an independent agency. We're investigating voter fraud, and we have a question.
You haven't told me who you are. You're an independent agency? That's cool. Who are you with?
All right, thanks, sir.
All right.
Hey, hi, sir. Who are we with? We're just doing a video project. We're just covering the election process.
Okay.
And we wanted to hit the Board of Elections specifically because we want to talk about how the voter checklists are maintained.
Okay.
And this
Which
is-
checklist?
The voter checklist. Yeah, if I register to vote.
Okay, so our registration list.
Yes.
Okay.
For the
What's your question?
So how do you maintain the checklist and keep it updated and accurate?
Let's see. Number one is the responsibilities on the voter to actually register to vote. Once they register to vote, there's a verification process we have to go through. And it's actually multi-level verification process. Number one is when they register to vote, they have to, they need to provide a name, of course, their basic information, address, and once we get that information, of course, we have to have a signature. So we have to have an original document that we're working with. Then we'll have to either verify it by driver's license number or social security number, and that's how we validate legitimate registrations.
Okay.
If they're a first-time voter in the state of North Carolina, and we're not able to validate a driver's license or a social security number, the very first time they vote, they will have to show some type of ID. Okay. But that identification could be brought up to and including, say, a hunting license or a fishing license or anything like that. So, but anyways, once we get to that, we'll have the, so that would be the first time to go vote. Other things would be, anytime anybody does register to vote, we have to also validate that. That's used through the United States Postal Service. So we send out
a mail and it comes back.
Right. We send out a piece of mail and they do, and basically if we don't get it returned back, then we validated that address with that voter. In other words, it's sent to wherever I have to take this. Oh, that's it? Okay. So anyways, once the...
Okay. Well, I guess one of my questions is...
election day is the worst day ever to interview.
I'm trying to get you personally friend.
As far as presenting the license, anybody can go to the DMV and get a license.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of research. So I went next door actually and got some jury duty roles.
Okay.
And specifically those people who were disqualified for non-citizenship.
Okay.
By their own admission. And I found probably about 150 people that were on the voter checklist.
Okay.
How does that happen?
What do you mean? If somebody registers and makes a false affirmation?
Yeah, I mean, if obviously you guys do your check if they have a social, if they have a license, you're good. But if they lie, these people either lied to the court or they lied to you guys.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That would be the same thing as if somebody has the same type of identification, they present any false information that would be on there. So it's defined in the criminal statutes on that. Actually, it would be a Class I felony if that's found to be false.
How can you catch someone doing that?
How can you catch anybody?
Other than this, I mean, I'm sure there's people that aren't going to jury duty. There's a small percentage of people that are pulled in from jury duty, and there's loads of people that are citizens out there that have North Carolina licenses. And they may get through motor voter thrown on the voter checklist.
Okay.
How is that captivated or prevented? Is there any way to prevent that, or just?
Are you targeting specifically U.S. citizens? I don't know who you're targeting specifically.
If someone's not a citizen and they're on the voter rolls, that's a problem, because I know when they fill out this form, they check off, yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen.
And that is one of the things ICE or immigration is actually looking at. They actually go in and check those also.
So
if we got notification from them, of course they would have to be removed. We take those notifications and we send them over to the State Board of Elections.
Okay. So I know those guys are next door. You guys don't talk to each other at all.
Do we have a system where we're trying to target individuals? I mean, we have the same thing with, say, if somebody's convicted of a felony. We do have felony. I mean, we have felony. I mean, that also, specifically in North Carolina, if you're a convicted felon, you also can be registered. We also go in with the Department of Correction records, DOC records, and we do proof our system against DOC records also. But again, we have to have a match. When you get to a county with right at 615,000 voters, like Wake County, state of North Carolina, over 6 million voters. Believe it or not, we have twins, and we have, it's kind of one of those situations definitely situations like that, and we can't just arbitrarily go in and remove people, especially if we have any type of match like that. I mean, so it is a full-time job, not just for Wake County, but any county.
It would be great if it could be prevented somehow right at the get-go. My final question is, and I've also looked for the number of dead people that are still on the rolls. In the last 90 days, I found 70% of the people that I looked at the obituaries still on the voting rolls. Is there? I know there's no ID required.
Where did you find that on the obituaries?
It's an obituary, online obituary.
Outstanding. Good question.
I've got it here too, actually.
Well, obituaries are great. They sound good. The problem is we don't look through the News and Observer each morning and see who we should go in and randomly remove. In order to remove somebody from the voter registration list, we have to have a match through the Department of Health and Human Services, including vital statistics. Number two, it can be also a relative notification, which would be they would be duly authorized to do it, or if we actually have a death certificate. So we do not pick up the newspaper and read through that. It has to be through a verifiable source.
Would it be possible for someone to do as I did and go through the obituaries, find a name, go in,
and commit a classified felony,
and commit a felony and not be caught because
same thing? Yeah, the answer is yes. Same as murder is also a crime. I guarantee you, there's probably going to be more murders in the state of North Carolina today than there's going to be incidents of somebody.
How do you know that?
How do you know that they are? Did you find any of these people voting?
I can check for voting history.
I mean, that's what I would encourage. That's what I would encourage you to do. But keep in mind, you can check after the fact, and I mean that's where you can go with that. I mean, I'm not discouraging that. I mean, it is that's why voter registration rolls are an open process.
Right. I mean, but
actually, what you're looking at proves that voting is a public policing open process.
So we depend on the public to maintain the integrity of our elections.
Yeah. The answer is yes, in part. But also with that, we do have checks and balances in place. But we can't specifically go in and target specific individuals. There are rules, there are laws in place to prevent us from just arbitrarily going in. Such as, I'll give you an excellent example. If you brought me a list and said, I went through this list and found deceased voters, are you just removing D's Democratic Party? Just removing the Republican Party?
Right.
No, I'm saying arbitrarily. We can't just randomly go in and target. We've had same inquiries. Well, NC State students, which we have a lot of here. Shaw, we have St. Augustine, we have Meredith. We have a lot of colleges and universities. Well, can't you just go in and randomly target these precincts and just try to clean up the rolls with those? There's a list maintenance process.
That's a painful process.
Oh yeah, it is a very painful process.
If you just ask for ID right up straight,
well, I hear
it's hard to impersonate.
I do hear your agenda, but what I'm saying is your agenda needs to be supported by the legislature, and that has to be. So whatever they change the law to, that's what we'll do.
Right.
Keep in mind, we just work here. Okay, we're not trying to invent something new or different.
Right.
That's why if you have these questions, I'm very good with answering. But understand there are rules. So is your research probably valid? I don't question that whatsoever. But I just can't go in and arbitrarily remove somebody.
I understand that.
Because any group that's looking to do that, we're here for all the voters. Because we have the same thing. I get people that call in and say, here, I got a list of voters I just want you to do this mailing for because I know they moved. Kind of find out they're just one party versus another. Okay, so, I mean, that happens also. So we do have uniform laws in place that we apply.
Well, I bounced everybody's name off the checklist and
based
regardless of party. Okay. Based on if they were dead. If they were dead, I looked up their name.
So you were able to verify their physical address?
I verified them by age and city. If there were more than one in the, this is just Raleigh.
I would suggest using vital statistics if that's what you were using.
Yes.
As opposed to
age is a vital statistic, and I have both from
through the HHS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I can just hopefully pass voter ID. That wouldn't help for now.
I hear what you're saying, but that don't ask the people that manage this. I mean, because whatever rules are put in place by the state or the state legislature, I should say, and passes law, that's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's not my say so. It's not whatever they say. That's what we're going to do.
And it probably wouldn't help for non-citizens.
If there was
some other.
That's. Don't know. I mean, or are they going to put something in place to target something? But especially when you get to citizenship, there you're talking about federal agencies, being involved. And if you're just targeting one particular group versus another group, I don't think you're going to have too many people that's going to be targeted.
If you're targeting non-citizens versus citizens, I don't think you're targeting.
But that's what I'm saying. As long as they put something in place, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
All right.
I mean, we're not going to make up our own rules here and be the only county in the state not following the uniform process.
I know how the process is. I know the rules that you guys have to play by, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So this is clearly the integrity is a little shaky. When I have to come up and I find 70% of dead people still on the rolls and non-citizens still on the rolls, I think it's a problem, and I don't think that I as a citizen should be dependent upon to police this. And I'm not saying that you should either.
No, we do police it, but that is the case. But you can't. But you have to make sure that you're policing it in a uniform manner that's applied not just in Wake County, but to every county in the state. Or if there's national standards for it. So, here's what it is. I'm not going to make up something that's otherwise what it is. All right. Anything else? Here's my card. If you have any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So pretty much, I'll go with you first, okay? Okay. So our first, let me make sure. Okay, cool. So let me just get this. All right. So our first question, of course, is today's outcome. Of course, it could have been much better for our half, but yes. But in the way it went, what am I trying to say? How do you feel about the way it went?
I'm not surprised. I expected that it would pass. I am pleased that it did not pass by some overwhelming, shocking majority. I'm pleased that it was not 70% for it. I'm pleased that it was as narrow a margin as it was. And honestly, I'm pleased by the opportunity to find out how many of my friends were actively involved in being against it. I expected most of my friends to be against it in private, in the voting booth. I did not expect as many of my friends to be vocally against it. It was disappointing to find out that there were people I knew who were vocally for it, but it was worth going through that experience to find out how many of my friends were vocally opposed to it. It would be very easy, as cynical as I am, to come out of this feeling very alone and isolated, but instead I come out of this feeling very connected to the people around me who were so vocally opposed to it.
Mm-hmm. And Jason, do you have any questions to add to that to strengthen his point? Or?
Well, just thinking from the point of how society works, thinking about movements, how to move forward. We mentioned radicals make the moderates possible. People like Malcolm X make MLK Jr. possible. Do you see more people stepping up to be radicals? The Dan Savages?
Absolutely. Okay. In 2000, when Bush eventually sort of won, then a friend of mine pointed out that the solace that she took from it was that punks would have something to be pissed off about. And I think that that's a pretty wise take on this as well. If it gives activists something to get out on the street and beat the drums about, then that's okay. Then it ultimately does us good. If it gives us something to mobilize behind, if it prevents us from becoming complacent, great. If it gives us fuel for the fire, wonderful. It would be very easy to just retire to suburbia and stop having pride marches. If this gives us a reason not to do that, then we should absolutely take advantage of that opportunity.
Absolutely. What do you do though about all of the stalwart Republicans in the state legislature who are going to be fighting us tooth and nail every inch of the way?
We wait for them to die.
Wait for them to die.
Because time and history are on our side. Progress is hard work, and sometimes that work has to be done twice or three times before it takes. But the people who are really vocally opposed to us tend to be older, and frankly, if we wait around, they'll stop voting because they'll all be in the ground.
Absolutely. Or run them over.
Let's not run them over yet.
Not yet.
We'll give them a few years.
Except Thomas, maybe. All right. That's all I have.
Okay, great.